I'm Janet Decay.
And I'm Grimm Gorri.
And together we host
The Mummy and the Monkey Show.
And you're listening to Monster Kid Radio.
Let's record something for the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I am at Monster Bash. It is Friday early evening, I suppose. It's almost 6 o'clock. Did I say Friday? No, it's Thursday. It's Thursday. I'm operating on about 3 hours sleep. And, man. So I took a flight from Portland at 11:30 p.m. Flew all the way to Philadelphia, got there around 7 or so. In the air for about 5 hours, maybe slept 3 hours tops. Then from Philly to Pittsburgh, got picked up by Scott and Tracey Morris, and now I am here, and we've got the table set up. And actually, I told everybody on the show previously that the Monster Kid radio table was going to be right next to registration. It's not. It's actually in a better location in that I am the first table people see when they come into the Monster Bash. I am right here, front and center. I'm having a blast already, even though I'm exhausted, and that's just how it's going to be because I don't think I'm going to get a lot of sleep this weekend. Anyway, Monster Bash. I am so happy that I am finally here, that it's finally happened. And they don't know I'm going to do this, but I'm going to shove a microphone in Tracey's face. And really, she just gave me a look. And honestly, Tracey Morris has known me long enough to know that if she's anywhere near my personal bubble while I've got this thing going, she's going to get on mic, or at least I'm going to try to get her on mic. Tracey Morris, how you doing?
I am doing well.
So we are here at Monster Bash. It's been a while since you've come, right?
Yes, I did not get here last year. I believe the year before was my last time. Oh, and then there was the Hammer, when they did the Hammer, Ladies of Hammer. I think that might have been my last one. But I am really looking forward to it, and I think we'll have a really good time.
Is there anything in particular you are looking forward to this weekend?
I'm looking forward to hearing some of the authors' talks, a couple of the movies, and of course, Victoria Price.
That I am looking forward to. I haven't seen her yet, actually. I'm a little, I guess things don't officially start until tomorrow, so maybe she just won't get here until tomorrow. But yeah, Victoria's awesome. You going to watch any of the movies?
As many as I can.
Are you familiar with what's being played this weekend at all?
I've read through the list, but I honestly, nothing jumps out in my mind at the moment. I was just reminded that Day of the Triffids will be showing, and that is one I am very interested in because I have read the book. I don't think I've ever seen the movie, though, so really looking forward to that.
Who prompted you? Hey, it's that guy with the camera. How's it going, man?
Do I know you?
I don't know. 3 hours sleep, you all look everybody kind of blurs into like one blobby kind of face. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. I was your Uber driver earlier.
Exactly. Scott, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm at Monster Bash. How could I not be doing good?
What are you looking forward to the most this weekend?
Hanging out with you.
See, this is how Scott gets on Monster Kid Radio as often as he does. I'm just...
He doesn't want you to fire him again.
We're long past the days of where I get to fire Scott. Any particular guests or anybody you want to make sure you connect with?
I'm definitely looking forward to Victoria Price as well. Several other of the talks. I've also heard rumors that there might be a scene from The Blob that hasn't been seen before. Might be showing up sometime this weekend. I'm looking forward to that if that's the case.
I heard that too, and I'm trying to make sure that I get a chance to see that because I want to see that. I'm probably going to skip a lot of the movies this time around. I mean, I know there's some movies that I haven't seen yet, but I've got a table to man. And really, a lot of these movies I can see at home. And I know there's something about seeing it with my fellow monster kids, and that's fun and all, but here's what it is. But if they do have this blob thing, I do want to kid in on that action, for sure. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. So much more Monster Bash coming. Okay, so we are sitting here. This is my first interview of the weekend, and I'm really excited because
no pressure on me, right?
I've been excited to chat with you because I've been following you on Facebook. We're friends on Facebook, but you were a Rondo Award winner last year.
Last year, yes.
You won a Lifetime Award here last year, an award-winning artist who's got some very unique artwork. You've got a very distinct style that I love. Malcolm Gittins, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
How many times have you come to the Bash?
As a fan, since the very beginning, 1997. Oh my God, am I old? Yeah, so for 21 years, I've been setting up now with my art. I think maybe it might be 9 or 10 years. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Wow.
But I've been having my table for at least 10, maybe 9, 10 years. Yeah.
And how long have you been doing art? How long have you been an artist?
Oh my God, basically all my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it all monster themed? Is that what got you into it?
No. Well, here's the thing. I grew up a monster kid. The first movie I saw was King Kong vs. Godzilla. I was 5 years old.
Oh, I love that movie so much.
After that, that's it. From then on, that's where my head went, right away to monsters. And I saw so many movies growing up at my theater where I lived. And it's like I saw Dracula Risen from the Grave and all the Japanese monster movies. And just on every weekend, I was at my theater, double features to boot.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
You know, plus cartoons and stuff and like real movie experience where you don't got to sit through 30 minutes of commercials.
That's amazing.
Like it is now. So I grew up. And then, since I'm from Pittsburgh, every Saturday night was Chili Billy on Chiller Theater. Mm-hmm. He's the first person to show my art, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had met him, oh my God, summer of 76, something like that. And I'd been watching Chiller Theater since I was 9 years old.
Okay.
That got me hooked into him. He invited me up to the station one night to watch him tape a show, which was awesome.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. But I sent him some of my artwork, and at the end of the show, he would show, read letters or whatever.
Yeah.
And he showed 3 of my pieces of art. Oh. So that was the first real exposure
Wow.
that my art had. And ever since, from that day on, I was 18. Literally from that moment on, he became a lifelong friend. He was a mentor. I considered him to be a father figure. And whenever I would do a show or whatever, he would promote it, on his radio show or whatever he was doing.
Wow.
Every time when he was here, it was like a big family reunion thing. And he supported me. I don't know why. He saw something in me at 18 that he knew that this is what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And I miss him. I miss him dearly.
I never had an opportunity to meet Chili Billy Cardelli. I always wanted to. And for listeners who don't know, he was a classic horror host. He was in Night of the Living Dead.
20 years.
He's just a radio broadcaster.
Right.
The man was a legend.
They did a thing for his 50th anniversary in broadcasting.
Oh, wow.
He made it to 53 years in broadcasting. So that's,
That's longevity, man.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
that's very cool that he kind of saw that. That's
I don't
amazing.
know. I don't know what it was, but he saw something and he encouraged me and supported me. And when times were bad, he would offer advice and stuff. So that stuck with me. How he treated me, I try to do that to other people.
Right.
Just for his honor, trying to do the right thing for people.
I've noticed that about this particular community. I mean, I know there are other fandoms out there, comic books, sci-fi movies, whatever,
right.
but there's something about the classic monster community that I've always found supportive and kind of welcoming and wanting to prop each other up. And that's amazing that he did that for you.
He did, yeah. So now I try, people ask me for advice and I feel weird about, I'm nobody, right? But I try to help, if I can, and just because of what he did. So, yeah, I try to honor that.
Well, and you share your artwork online. You've got a couple of Facebook groups,
Yes.
and I see what you do there. And it's such a unique style. I can see it, and I'm like, okay, that's a Malcolm Gittins piece. I can totally tell. It's so cool.
I do the 60s style of art.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up with. And I just love it so much. The colors, the style, that's what I do.
That's one of the things I love most is the colors.
Thank
your
you.
color choices. And I'm a little colorblind, so maybe I'm not getting it all. But the color palette really kind of speaks to me because it has that kind of 60s pop-ish kind of.
Yes.
I love it. It's so cool. I'm going to make sure there's links to your Facebook group in the
Okay.
show notes of this. Do you have a website as well, or is it all on Facebook?
Yeah, my cards are ready. I can give you one of my postcards.
Okay.
So I can give you some information, sure.
And do you sell prints online as well?
It depends. If somebody wants something, I'll sell it to them. But usually I just do this.
Okay. Okay.
It's where things go pretty well. I don't look at my art like it's money. I look at it just because I love to do it. It kills me to sell something.
I've often thought about that. Like, I'm not an artist.
It hurts.
But if I created an original piece, if I was trying to do something, I wouldn't want to let it go. All that time you put into it,
it's gotten. Well, I've been doing this now, conventions and things, for 17 years.
Yeah, wow.
So I kind of know what I'm doing finally. It took it took a few false starts to know what I was doing because I'm self-taught.
Yeah?
I'm self-taught.
Wow.
So try to find what works and what doesn't work, and then I used to do Comic Con. I used to do a bunch of other conventions, but this is the convention that just is the best one I've ever done.
It's pretty special. I was just telling somebody else. This is like my Christmas, my Halloween, and my birthday all wrapped up
That's
into
why
one.
everybody comes here. It's like for the past few years now, it's not only a convention; it's become a big family reunion.
Yeah.
And you can talk to anybody. You don't even have to know anybody. You can sit down and talk to somebody instantaneously. You know what they're talking about, and it's like you've known each other all your lives.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what this is like.
This is my tribe. This is my people.
Right.
This is where I feel the most rejuvenated because there's so many other people that are into the same thing that I'm into, and sometimes even more so. So I sit and learn, from those folks. So it's just amazing, and to have authors and creators and painters and artists and podcasters, I guess, at this event.
Now,
is pretty special. We do something on my podcast called the Classic Five. Some people call it a game, some people call it a conversation starter, but basically what it is, I've got a deck of cards here.
Okay.
And each one of these cards has a this or that, what movie do you like better kind of question about classic monster movies. How do you feel about playing around with the Classic Five? All right.
Sure.
Here we go. One more shuffle here. Now, this is the official deck that I'm making available for sale now.
This is like the X-ray glasses deck or anything? Okay.
No.
Okay, I'm just checking.
There are no wrong answers here.
Okay.
And there are some Monster Bash exclusive questions in this deck.
Okay.
So here we go.
No pressure.
Card number 1, Malcolm. If you could have a drink or a meal with any Monster Bash guest, past or present, who would it be?
That's tough because I've met so many of my people I grew up watching or reading. Corey Ackerman was a great influence on my life. And Famous Monsters was a great, so I got to meet him here at the Bash. Ben Chapman, who was a land creature in the Lagoon. He was a great person and really funny too. That's tough. Somebody I haven't met or would have liked to have met. Oh boy, it's just like Karloff, Lugosi. I did meet Vincent Price once.
Yeah, how was that?
I couldn't believe it. He was doing a tour in 1975, and he was coming to my hometown.
Oh wow!
So I got to see his one-man show, and I was able to get a backstage pass.
Oh.
And of course, my mouth didn't work at all. I stood next to him. I babbled something out, and he signed a painting, and I did. So that was very cool. But if I had to pick one person, oh boy, maybe Ron Chaney Jr.
Oh yeah,
since he was still alive during the 70s.
Yeah.
So maybe him.
Right on.
Maybe
Okay.
him.
All right. Card number 2. What classic monster movie should be turned into a musical?
Oh Lord. I see way too many possibilities. Robot Monster comes to mind.
Robot Monster the musical.
that comes to mind with the
Sign me up.
The bubble machine going full tilt.
Oh man.
Lawrence Welk playing the orchestra. I don't know.
Listeners, I want somebody to write me a musical number called "I Can't Yet I Must."
Yeah.
I want that.
Another one. Oh boy, there was this thing, and if you haven't seen it, you're in for a delight. It's called The Creeping Terror.
Oh yeah.
The giant carpet.
Oh yeah.
There's one. That would be like a good one, maybe.
And that movie's in the public domain, so somebody could do it.
Somebody do it, yeah.
The Creeping Terror, the music. You know what? I want to see both of those now, so I'll take both answers.
Okay, all right.
All right, card number 3. This is from the Hammer expansion deck.
Okay.
What movie do you prefer better? Taste the Blood of Dracula or Blood from the Mummy's Tomb?
Can I say something else?
Sure.
Actually, I've never seen The Blood from the Mummy's Tomb.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not, I've never seen it. But if I had to, I have to do this because I've met Veronica Carlson, and I still can't.
She's such a sweetheart.
And I still can't talk to her when I'm around her. I was 10 and saw Dracula Has Risen from the Grave.
Oh, nice.
And that stuck with me all these years. And when I finally got to meet her the first time, my mouth just went. So to calm me down, she kisses me on the cheek, and it's like,
That's supposed to help.
I said, that's not helping. But the really cool thing was last year when I won my Rondo Award and my Monster Bash Lifetime Achievement Award, she was a guest here.
Uh-huh.
So I got to share those two things with her.
Oh.
And I have the photos are on my table. If you want to walk by later and see the pictures. And I'm thinking to myself, how totally cool is this? How lucky am I and blessed that I get to do what I love, one thing. And I'm standing next to this gorgeous woman. And somebody I saw when I, the 10-year-old crush, and, never thought you're going to meet somebody. And she's happy for me. She's got her arm around me, and I'm celebrating my two biggest things in my Monster Kid life with somebody, with her. I still can't believe that ever happened, but it did. I get the pictures to prove it.
She's pretty cool. I met her last year for the first time.
She's awesome. She's a sweetheart.
She is so sweet. And I had that same experience where you just kind of don't know what to say.
Right.
The first time I met Julie Adams here.
Oh, yeah, she's a sweetheart, too.
I must have lost like 20 pounds of just nervous sweat.
Right.
Just because I was like,
what do you say?
But she's so nice and welcoming. It makes you feel like you're... Exactly.
I had taken a picture of her with one of them, the Gilman statues from Witch's Dungeon. And she autographed the picture for me, so that was nice of her. So she's her. I have not met one person here that didn't appreciate their being here and how much love they get from us fans.
Yeah.
And they say that, when they're up on stage in their Q&As, they'll tell you that this is the best thing they've ever done.
Yep. All right. Well, so that was 3 cards. We got the 4th one. That's okay. No, this is fun. This is what it is. It's a conversation piece.
Okay.
Malcolm, what is your favorite Abbott and Costello Meet the Monster movie?
That's way too easy. Meet Frankenstein.
That's what everybody says.
However, I have a fondness for The Killer Boris Karloff.
That one's good too. That's the second one they did.
Yeah. The title is Abbott and Costello Meet the Killer Boris Karloff. Well, actually, that's not really the title. It's Meet the Killer. It's just Boris Karloff. It's his star credit.
Yeah.
It doesn't say starring Boris Karloff.
Right.
But basically, it's just Boris Karloff's the star of this movie. So when they say that, I don't think it's right.
It's quite right?
No,
Yeah.
it's not right. It's Evans. They meet the killer.
Right.
So, I kind of love that one.
That one's good. I like Invisible Man.
That one's a good one, too.
That one, too. It's the boxing match is what does it in for me.
That started off as just a straight, another sequel. And they added Abbott Costello into it later.
It's good.
But it was going to be a straight sequel to another Invisible Man movie without Bud and Lou.
Yep.
So, yeah.
All right, final card.
Okay.
What is your favorite classic monster movie sequel?
Okay. Dude, you're killing me here. Oh, boy. Okay, let me think. I like Son of Dracula.
Really?
Yes, I think Channing is awesome in it.
I think that movie is so underrated. I love Son of Dracula.
It's the first film noir monster movie.
It really does have that, doesn't it?
If you think about it, because the woman, she's sneaky and conniving.
She's a femme fatale.
Exactly. She's trying to take advantage of Dracula, which is a whole unique thing, and kills her father.
Right.
And she's a classic noir female villain.
I love Evelyn Akers on that, too. She is so good on that.
It's a shame that she didn't play the other part.
I know, but still.
Because she was good at playing evil.
Yeah.
If you ever saw the one Inner Sanctum movie she's in.
Right, Weird Woman, right?
Yes.
Yeah, which is another one of my favorites.
And she plays a villain. She was really good at playing evil.
Yeah.
And it's a shame she didn't get a chance to do that more.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
Okay, Son of Dracula, and I know it gets grief too, is Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. I think it's, despite that it was a last minute edit job, and a lot of stuff that would have made sense was cut out of it, it's still a good movie.
Frankenstein meets the Wolfman?
Yeah.
I love the opening of that movie, the resurrection of Lawrence Talbot.
God, it's great.
That is
perfect.
Some of the creepiest stuff Universal was doing in the 40s.
It was it's brilliantly photographed and directed, and it's best opening. Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Well, that was the Classic 5, man. How do you feel?
Okay.
Okay, there you go. You won.
Oh, okay.
You win the game.
Okay, what do I get now?
You get to spend all weekend here at the Bash.
Okay, that's good.
So you've got a table. Are you in the vendor's room or are you in?
Vendor's room.
Okay. Well, I'll make sure I come back by later today, and I want to check out what you brought.
I'm like, if you go the main doors, just go straight back. I'm on the far end of the wall. So, yeah.
Well, I won't be able to miss your artwork. I mean, it stands out. So, it's right there. There you go.
They can't see this, but it's like
Yeah, this is great podcast. We're talking about what T-shirts we're wearing.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
Malcolm, thank you so much for being part of Monster Kid Radio.
Oh, no, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Second interview of the Bash. Dwight Kemper, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, thank you. Sorry for waking you up last night.
I was going to say, second interview, but not the first time I've seen you. I saw you through bleary eyes last night when there's a knock on my... How'd you find out where I was?
Well, the front desk, I said, do you know where Derek M. Cook is? And he spells his name Koch, so look for Koch, not Cook. And then they said what your room number was. So if you want to blame anyone, blame the front desk people who did not inform me. By the way, he hasn't slept since he's flown here, so don't wake him up. So,
No worries.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry I wasn't able to I was out. I was done.
Well, you were sort of zombie-like, which sort of fits what we're doing here today.
That's true. I could use a lot more sleep, but I've been telling people this whole Monster Bash, Monster Kid thing, it's keeping me going. Sunday night I might be on fumes, but
yeah. Last night you were more like a werewolf because your beard was all. So,
I tried to clean up a little bit,
yeah, very little. But anyway.
Hey now.
Well, this is like the second time that I've actually looked at you face to face rather than looking at my cell phone to talk to you.
So you got in last night?
Yes, I did. I got in last night. I drove here. So
wow.
Now I went to bed at 8 o'clock. And then I woke up at 3. I couldn't get back to sleep, so I decided I was going to pack and get all my books and things together. And so I had like maybe 6 hours, 7 hours sleep, and it really didn't hit me until I got here. But I'm all right now.
Okay.
So I'm here. I'm a dealer at Monster Bash. Not only am I selling my books and the 6 CD or 8 CD box set of the audiobook Vampires 2 Mystery.
I still owe you a review on that, by the way.
Thank you. But I am also selling the original artwork that is printed in the Vampires 2 Mystery, including some artwork which didn't get printed.
Ooh.
And I'm selling them for the ridiculously low price of $50 each.
I'll have to go check that out.
Yes.
And this is artwork that you did. You're the artist.
I'm the artist,
Yeah.
yes. I'm the guy. I'm the one who had the pencil and the pens. But before we go on to any more of this fun interview, I have one serious moment. A very dear friend of both of us.
Yes.
Very dear friend of both of us, Brad Bradbury. If you're out there listening to us, Brad, I read about your post on Facebook yesterday that you had a stoke. Because that's how you spelt it. But because you did have a stroke, I let that go. But I'm glad to hear that you're recovering. Keep up the good recovering and take care of yourself. And I hope that you get well soon and keep in touch.
Definitely.
If for no other reason than because I need as many fans of my books alive as possible. And so it's a slightly selfish motive behind me. You liked my books, so keep it up. Stay alive.
No, seriously, from all of us here at Monster Kid Radio, definitely. It's hard when one of your tribe is going through a medical thing, just because we all want we want as many of us around as possible.
And I went through a medical thing. So.
Yeah, right. So you know how it is, and so definitely. So hang in there, Brad. We're pulling for you.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
That's right. So, it wouldn't be an episode of Monster Kid Radio if we didn't play around with the Classic 5.
Oh, good, because now I get to actually see what these things look like.
That's right. So this is what they look like. This is
wow.
The actual,
You went all out, didn't you?
I did, man. These are all for sale now. I actually have copies for sale. So this is my demo deck.
Okay.
So we're selling the core deck as well as some expansions. There are actually some Monster Bash exclusive cards in here.
Oh, neat. All right, cool. And here I thought that was just a sound effect, and you're just taking pieces of paper.
Well, sometimes it is, but no longer. No longer.
You actually have the real McCoy here. So.
All right, so I'm going to start with a Monster Bash exclusive card.
Okay.
Dwight, what has been your favorite Monster Bash purchase? Not counting the Classic 5 deck, of course.
Oh, okay. That would have to be a Godzilla model kit, which was a Mobius Models reissue of the original Aurora one. I haven't opened it yet. In fact, last year I got Godzilla, I got Seaview, and I got a Catwoman, and I got a Batman thing. So none of which have been built yet. And the reason for that is quite simple. I have to keep moving all the time. I'm now moved into a new apartment because the other place that I was living in was becoming intolerable for one reason or another. So now I'm living in a nice big apartment, and I'm trying to fit all of my Monster Kid stuff in it. I have 4 rooms, and I set off one room as a model making room. And
Okay.
there's another one as a library, and I've discovered I need more bookshelves.
I feel that pain.
Yeah. Because I got boxes everywhere. I have 2 storage units. My ex-wife is letting me use space in her storage unit. So there's like boxes everywhere. There must be at least 300 boxes. And I've already gone through like 60 of them and breaking them down. And originally I was going to keep them all because they're pretty expensive to buy.
Right.
But then I thought, then I'd have to have a storage unit for boxes. This is stupid. So that had to... but yes, to get back to your original question, I do love the Godzilla.
Right on. All right, card number 2. Who else could have or should have played a mad scientist?
Who else could have or should have played a mad scientist? Oh, Jonathan Harris.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be amazing for him to just go that one step farther, because in Lost in Space, he was practically Dr. Frankenstein with what he was doing with the robot. So,
Right.
So all he has to do is just go one little teeny tiny step farther, and then he would have been a marvelous mad scientist.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
All right, you gallery school. You pusillanimous squeak. I shall rule the world.
I love it. I love it. In some world somewhere, some alternate reality. I really hope that happened. All right, I'm going to pull a card from our Hammer expansion deck.
Okay.
What is your favorite Barbara Shelley Hammer film? She was in the last Quatermass film.
Quatermass in the Pit. Okay, the color one?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I'm going to go with that one.
Okay.
Because
Okay, I'm going to pull one from the Universal expansion deck.
okay, I have a better chance with this one. Okay.
What was the most recent Universal monster movie you've watched?
All right, I'm trying to think because I saw a bunch of them. The most recent would have to have been The Bride of Frankenstein. Because I watched that one a lot.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Knowing you, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I find it so comforting. I will sometimes put it on my TV because it's where I sleep, and I'll put it on and go to sleep, listening to The Bride of Frankenstein, lulling me off to sleep.
All right, I'm going to go with one more Monster Bash exclusive card.
Okay.
When was the first time you went to Monster Bash?
Ooh, that's a good question. You're asking a man who has trouble keeping track of his own timeline. It was while it was still in Mars, Pennsylvania. Not this hotel. It was at the other hotel.
Oh, okay, okay.
And I think it was the Monster Bash that I was going to meet with Chris Costello to discuss the murder mystery cruise that I was going to do with Sarah Karloff that Chris Costello was arranging, because amongst other things, Chris Costello arranges tours and voyages and things. Mm-hmm. And that was when I also met Donnie Dunnigan and got along really well with him. In fact, I ate breakfast with Donnie Dunnigan.
Oh, wow.
And I actually performed for him my impression of Little Peter. And I will now do that for you. And I will preface this by saying he absolutely adored what I did. And I go,
well, hello. Molly, may I come in?
and
Ooh, he was a great big man with a hairy coat on. And he walked like this.
And I actually asked him, why did you say hello like that? And he said that the sound man told him before the shot that he had to talk really loud so that they would pick him up on the microphone. So that's why he said all his lines like that.
I've heard you do the "and he walked like this" on the show before.
Yep.
In person,
Well, yeah, you get to see the gesture in the face and
it
everything.
was awesome.
Yeah. If there was a camera, I could look into it as it's passing by me in the train.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Frankenstein.
Say, why don't we go with the classic 6 and 2?
You want another one?
Yeah, just for fun.
What 2 giant Universal monsters would you like to see fight it out in a new movie?
Ooh, giant ones. That would be in the 50s. Well, one of them would be Tarantula. I'm trying to remember if the Amazing... I don't think the Amazing Colossus...
No, he's not Universal.
No, he wasn't, no. He didn't have a lot of giant... was them a Universal?
No, it was not.
No. I only think Universal had...
Well, there's Tarantula, Deadly Mantis. I wrote the card. Now I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. Well, then I'm going to go with Tarantula and Deadly Mantis, but, you know, they would be bitter enemies. And,
Yeah.
And really, if you wanted to get rid of the Deadly Mantis, you would just have to find the female Deadly Mantis to mate with.
I was going to say, hope it's the male, and then,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Uh-huh.
and then it would just eat his head off, and then you would only... Well, then you still have the female Mantis to deal with.
Well, that's true. You get rid of one problem and get another one.
Right, I know. That's the way things go, and, you know,
Yeah.
Mother Nature gone mad. Yeah, it's amazing. A lot of the giant monster movies were not made by Universal, and I'm trying to think of the timeline on it. Did Universal jump on somebody else's bandwagon, or did they jump on Universal's bandwagon?
Well, them came out in 54.
Mm-hmm.
Tarantula did not. Tarantula was 55, I think.
Yeah, so I guess this. Now, here's an interesting thing about Tarantula.
Okay.
Okay, Leo G. Carroll is in Tarantula.
Love him in Tarantula.
He tried to pick up my mother on a bus when she was a young woman.
I think you've told me this before.
In New York. And I'm trying to picture Leo G. Carroll saddling up next to my mother and going, "Well, hi there, young lady. What would you like to do tonight?" "I would like to take you to my room and show you my various animals in cages." So, yeah.
That's awesome.
But anyway, what else would you like to... You know, I've been wanting to talk to you about the evil of Frankenstein. Did you want to do that?
We need to talk about that at some point. Anyway, I mean, I have you on tentatively in my schedule. We need to make that happen. Because you have... Is that when you saw the theater too, when you were growing up?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, one thing about that was that I missed watching Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea so that I could see the evil of Frankenstein.
Oh, priorities, man.
That's right.
Was that the first Frankenstein you had seen? Hammer Frankenstein you had seen?
It was the first Hammer I saw in the movies. There is something about the evil of Frankenstein I have to tell you. I don't know if I told you this already, but watching the evil of Frankenstein with an audience is entirely different than watching it at home. Because you know the scene where the monster or the creature, or whatever you want to call it, comes in and bashes in the head of the Burgermeister and just keeps bumping his head against the wall.
Yeah.
The crowd erupted with cheers.
Yay! You're killing him!
It was amazing. Also, seeing the incision that Peter Cushing makes into the chest of the guy in the beginning of the picture, projected on a huge screen, is quite memorable, and I loved every minute of it.
I would imagine so. And I think I've said this before, that I'm jealous of people like you or Steve Sullivan or some of the other people who had a chance to see these theatrically during like an original or maybe like the first re-release. Because I don't have that experience. You know, I watch them at home and that's great. And I'm glad I have nice Blu-rays of a lot of them. But man, to see them like that, oh.
Well, I may have already said this once before, but I was actually invited to a house to see Forbidden Planet on the big screen because he had his own... before the Forbidden Planet, he ran a clip reel of Ray Harryhausen.
Oh.
And you know how they look kind of fake on television?
Yeah, there's something about how they don't translate very well sometimes.
On the big screen, they look real. You don't see the outline of, even in Fantastic Voyage, where even in the Blu-ray you can see that weird sort of blue screen outline.
Right, they kind of mask things out.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't see... I saw Fantastic Voyage in the movies, and you did not see that. It was just this, panoramic thing. And when you saw it on the big widescreen picture, when you were looking out the windows of the Proteus, you were literally looking out into the bloodstream. So it was an entirely different movie.
Sure.
And because it was that big, and you saw all these scenes and the way that the scenes were shot inside the submarine, you felt like you were inside the submarine.
Yeah.
So it was really, it was quite an immersive experience, which you just really don't get on a TV screen. As well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I've got all these movies at home, but man, to be able to see them like that, God, insanely jealous. Well, I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I hope you move lots of books. You've got all 3 of them, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
I have all 3 of them, plus I have the audiobook.
The audiobook.
And remember, you can also obtain the audiobook off of audible.com. So it's also available there, too. So anyway.
Do you have any readings or signings coming up or anything like that?
No, but next week I'm flying to Chicago to be in a superhero movie where I am the superhero. And it's called The Adventures of Jim Powers. It's being produced by Dre Boyd, and he's also directing, and he also wrote the script, which, by the way, I shall be studying at my tables so that I will be ready for next week. And I play Jim Powers, a 60-year-old superhero who has to battle a bevy of villains. And it's going to be a short subject of like 20 minutes. And so there's going to be 3 days of shooting, and I'm really excited about it because not only are they flying me out, and not only are they going to pay my expenses, but they're also paying me money to do it.
Hey,
so which is good because I'm taking time off from work to to do this. And so I'm looking forward to that. So Dre, I've given you a plug. He's a lovely chap. In fact, I'd have to ask him, but I'm almost certain he was inspired because he wrote it for me. So I'm assuming he was inspired because of all the gym pictures that I show of me in my superhero outfits after a workout and going, So yes, so The Adventures of Jim Powers. Now I also have to give credit to Family and Children's Society. They encouraged me to go to the audition for this thing. And I said, you do realize that it's going to be at least 2 weeks shooting where you will not have me to do anything. And my scheduler, Penny, said that she would do whatever they had to do to see to it that I could do it because they wanted me to do it. So there you go.
Right on.
Yep, I got a lot of very supportive people, and Family and Children's Society, who takes care of the elderly and the infirmed and housebound people, are a very good company to work for. Anyway, sort of strayed a little bit from monsters. So, you want to ask me any other monstery questions?
I think we're good, man.
Okay.
But we will probably connect more than once throughout the weekend.
All right.
For sure.
It was a pleasure, and I promise never to wake you up again. Even if you are laying on the ground, I'm going to say he probably fell there. He needs a nap. I'll just go past, and I'll leave him alone, and I will come back later.
Okay.
And if he's still like that, I'll leave again. So...
Just recording like crazy here at Monster Bash. I got Ken Blose here. Ken, how's it going?
Great, I'm doing great. I'm loving it.
Now, we had Ken on the show. He's only been on the show proper once, but it made such an impact that he went out and bought the sweatshirt with the logo from it.
And Derek was kind enough to have that specially made, sent out. And so if you guys want to show your support for Santo versus the Martian invasion, go out and get one of these T-shirts, sweatshirts from Monster Kid Radio. So it'll be worth his while, man. But I got my Monster Kid shirt on here at Monster Bash.
I love it, man. It looks really good. I haven't seen a sweatshirt, actually, of them all. So that's good. I've got the T-shirts, but that's awesome.
I come from the desert, so when I come in this air-conditioned Pittsburgh place, and I'm a little bit cold, so I thought I'm going to get a sweatshirt so I can be wearing this all day, all week long.
You see, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to change into shorts later because it's so warm. So you've been doing the bash quite a while. You came in today, or did you get here last night?
I came in last night,
okay.
And I snuck in and just to see if anything was going on, and went to bed, and then got up early and been here hanging out with people more than bashing, really, because that's what it's all about. Getting
really
together
is.
with people.
We were talking about that earlier. The movies are great, and the celebrities, I can't wait to see some of them. But it's meeting up. I was really hoping I'd run into you. We had Dwight on the show earlier, and of course Scott and Tracy and Steve and his son. Just, that's what it is. It's just like a big meetup for us.
Right.
And the guests get to tag along.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I think what Monster Bash and now Monster Kid Radio or the B-Movie Cast and other podcasts have been is just a way for friends to get together from all over the place. Being a Monster Kid for many years was kind of lonely, especially if you didn't have... I had friends in elementary school, but when I moved and was in junior high, I had nobody. But after the internet came out and I started to realize I'm not alone, it's been great. And now with Monster Kid Radio, I can be bashing. I went to the Monster Bash and just loved it. And it's like, I'd be crying at the end because it's the end.
Yeah.
But things like podcasts like Monster Kid Radio really help for it to continue on and to realize I'm not alone. There's people out there that like the same stuff and like to talk about it. And I love listening to it. So
Well, I appreciate that, man. It really did, because, and I've said this before, and I think I said it in a previous recording from the Bash just not too long ago, that things like podcasting are what brought me some of my dearest friends all around the world, people that I am close with, even if I've never really spent time with them physically. And then something like the Bash happens, and I get to spend time with them physically, and it's even better. So thank you for your kind words, man. That's what I try to do, and the B Movie Cast does it too, and just, it's awesome.
Yeah, and it's really times, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this either. There's times in our lives when we do feel like we're alone, when there's not that many people. I have a beautiful family and everything, but they're just not into it, but it's okay, because I have you every week in my ears, and all your guests, and I have this Monster Bash to look forward to every year, and so it's really cool. And the good thing is my family says, go ahead, we don't mind that you do that. I don't want to watch those movies, but you go ahead with your friends, and that's cool.
Yeah. Brenda's the same way. She's not really into them the way I am. Well, okay, there's nobody into them the way I am, but she's not into them the way I am, and but that's okay. Again, she totally supports me. She comes on MKR now, which has been a lot of fun. So it's great to have this group of people to kind of hang out with.
And she is a great addition. I really like it when you guys are bantering and having fun talking, and it just, again, brings that family atmosphere. It's not just a bunch of people talking about stuff they like. It's a family that we're developing, a community, and it's really cool.
Oh, thanks, man. I'll pass that on to her, because she doesn't listen to the show. So
that's her loss.
So I got a deck. I got the Classic 5. This is actually the official deck now. It's been printed up. Looks all like a real card game. You want to play around?
Yes, and they are beautiful. You better offer these online, brother, because they'll go.
I'll make sure they're available. I'll make sure. All right, so we have got the core deck in here, as well as the Universal, Hammer, and Monster Bash exclusive expansion decks, starting with the first one, which is a Hammer card. The face he made. Okay. So what do you prefer, black and white Hammer films or color Hammer films?
Oh, definitely color.
Yeah?
I don't know if I could even name that many black and white ones, the Quatermass ones and things, but I grew up on the Horror Dracula, Curse of Frankenstein, Curse of the Werewolf, and the colors are just so livid and bright and at the same time scary. So, color. And then my favorite Hammer film, 1 Million Years BC, Ray Harryhausen.
Really?
Yeah. And the colors in that also beautiful. The Canary Islands and the sets that they had, everything, even the dinosaurs.
Raquel Welch isn't,
Yeah, in black and white, no. The black and white Hammer films that I remember seeing are some of their, like the Snorkel and some of their non-horror ones. And, some of the Quatermass and stuff. And it's like, they're okay. But when they got that color...
They really embraced it and used it.
And they knew how on a low budget to make it look good.
Yeah, this is true.
Very good.
All right, card number 2. And actually, I did this one with Dwight earlier, so I want to hear your response. It's from the Universal expansion. What was the most recent Universal monster movie you've watched?
Wow. That's a good question to ask a 54-year-old guy who's, I think, already in Alzheimer's.
Oh, no.
My last Universal monster movie to have watched, I'm going to say The Invisible Man.
Ooh.
Is the one that I remember. And I actually selected that one for my daughter and I to watch together, because I love all Frankenstein was my foundation, and the House of Frankenstein and Son of Frankenstein were the first movies that I remember watching as a kid. But The Invisible Man to me today is the one I find the most enjoyable to rewatch. That I really like that, and I wanted to see that with my daughter, see her reaction to it.
Yeah,
and she liked it too, and I know I'm not in the majority here, but I really like Una Connor, man. I think she's great in that movie.
I am slowly warming up to her. For years, she was the most jarring part of both Bride of Frankenstein and The Invisible Man, but I'm warming up to her now, and I think that's the power of these movies.
Yes, and I think when you see her, I saw her just recently. I think it was in Witness for the Prosecution. I think she was in, and she was just had a straight up role, and so she is doing comedy in those movies, and I think the comic relief is good, and I enjoy that in the movie, and I appreciate the over the top histrionics. I think partially too is. Having lived so many years in Mexico, that's what Mexican cinema is all about, over the top. and I think she brings that into those two movies and any other movie where she takes that role.
Yeah.
So I really like her in that. And Claude Rains' voice.
Oh, man.
I mean, you don't see his face much at all, but his voice makes that movie as well.
Yeah.
And then that one, the scene I remember the most, and this for me one of the most iconic scenes in all cinema, is when he's, singing, here we go around the mulberry bush, and chase it. And it's like he's gone totally nuts, and that was just the coolest scene.
And I think that's why Una O'Connor is warming up to me, especially in that movie, because she's not the only one who's over the top. I mean, Claude Rains is and it's just his voice, but you can still imagine he's way over and it's wonderful. Invisible Man is such a good movie. Now I want to go back and watch it.
Yep.
It's been a while.
Do it. You might change your ratings.
Well, okay, let's not get crazy. All right, card number 3. What character from a classic monster movie would you like to have a drink or a meal with?
A character from a classic monster movie would like to have a drink or a meal with. Character. You know what? This is going to maybe sound crazy because we just talked about it, but I looked at that card while I was sitting here, and I thought to myself, the Invisible Man. You know why? Because we could sit there and plot to take over the entire world. Or at least a way to break the bank at Las Vegas and be millionaires. So
I love it. I love it.
So I think it'd be cool to be with the Invisible Man. Try to get into his head a little bit, be his friend, and see if I can get a percentage of whatever he could get being invisible.
I love it. I love it. All right, card number 4. It's also a universal card, and I love that this one came up. What's your favorite follow-up to The Invisible Man?
Favorite follow-up to The Invisible Man? I'm not overly familiar with them. Is it Invisible Man Returns where Vincent Price voiced it? Yeah, I think that would probably have to be my favorite of those, though I think I've only seen them once and a long time ago. So, okay. But I'm not a big I don't have a lot of knowledge or remembrance of those, but I know that if Vincent Price was in it, I'd like it.
Invisible Man Returns is his. Invisible Woman is more comedy. It's not really very horrific. Invisible Agent, though, is really good. I'd really recommend that one.
I think I'll need to check that one out. I don't think I've seen that one.
All right. And this comes from the Monster Bash exclusive deck. Vincent Price or Boris Karloff?
That is a tough one. Off the top of my head, I'm going to say Vincent Price.
Okay.
But they're almost on that equal plane. But there's some Vincent Price films like the Dr. Phibes and Theater of Blood that have a really strong place in my nostalgia, my memory as a kid watching those in the movie theater, and that voice, And then I've really grown to appreciate his other films as I'm into film noir, and he's done several film noirs, and I appreciate his other roles. Karloff is also part of my life, and his Frankenstein and his characters, Black Cat.
Oh man, Black Cat's so good.
So that is a tough one, but I'm going to say right now Vincent Price. And also I had a recent meeting with Victoria Price. We're going to see her this week as well. So
have you had a chance to meet Victoria Price before?
Yes, in fact, I went to the Film Noir Festival in Palm Springs, California last month, and she was there presenting The Web with Vincent Price.
Oh, nice.
And she was talking about her new book that she wrote and about her impressions. That was like the first time she saw that movie at that, so it was kind of neat.
Wow.
And I met her briefly and got her book and got her to sign the book and all that, and looking forward to see her presentation here at Monster Bash as well.
Me too. Really looking forward to it. One of the people I wanted to make sure I chatted with here at Monster Bash was Tom Weaver, a man whose books adorn my bookshelf, and I spend way too much money on, but don't tell him that. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing great, and if you really love my books, the place for them is in the bathroom, not the bookcase.
Hey now. No, I love what you do, and I'm a big fan of the Scripts from the Crypt series, which keeps plugging along. The newest one is about the atomic submarine.
That is correct.
I don't even know anything about that film, so it sounds like I got to get the book.
And then soon you'll know everything about it. When I was, I don't know how old I was when it came out, but in the 70s sometime, a little book came out on Mystery of the Wax Museum.
Oh, nice.
And in it, retyped, was the script and also a long and very well researched, I thought, making of article chapter. And I thought, I've had that for a long time. And then years ago, I thought to myself, why don't I steal? You know, I'm sure a lot of other books just like it have also been published. And it occurred to me a few years ago, why don't I steal that idea and start doing a series? And I came up with the title Scripts from the Crypt, which I kind of like. And I said, why don't I start doing, you can't do, you a Creature from the Black Lagoon because, Universal would come after you. But there are tons of PD movies, and there are lots of movies where I know the guy who owns the rights. I can think of dozens of movies that I could do if I could get my hands on the script. So I started with The Hideous Sun Demon.
Which I loved, by the way. I loved that book, and I love that movie.
And I was really happy also. I had 2 scripts for that. One that's nothing like the movie, and then one that's more like the movie. So it's an incredibly, really, really fat book. And then lots of making of articles and other stuff. And Bear Manor gave it a real cheap price, $25. And I thought to myself, well, that's really cool and a good start. And my second was Indestructible Man, which, again, I was able to do, I think, a good job with. I even found a real-life incident that may have inspired the movie, and I gave that a chapter. And then Bride of the Gorilla, and in association with Gary Rhodes, books on Bride of the Monster, and he even branched out brilliantly into Ed Wood scripts that never became movies.
Which was a phenomenal read. The what-if possibilities there.
Yes. Oh, that's one of my favorites so far. It had nothing to do with me. I've got a chapter in there, but it was his scripts, his movies, his idea, his everything. That's, like I said, that's one of my favorites. And now we've done Atomic Submarine, which, you know what, I'm not sure there are enough Atomic Submarine fans out there that I've made too many people happy with that one. But a guy who was a terribly nice guy was its producer, Alex Gordon. And the book is as much a tribute to him as it is about the Atomic Submarine. Yeah. So I enjoyed doing that. And the next one is... No, I'm going to keep the next one secret for a little longer.
Man, don't tease me.
I don't want anybody to steal the idea.
Okay,
because
fair enough.
With me, sometimes these things take longer than they should.
Fair enough. How hard is it to find the material when it comes to something like Hideous Sun Demon or Indestructible Man to research and write the book about?
Well, I've done so many interviews over the years that for each movie I've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe a half dozen interviews with people who are now mostly dead, telling what happened behind the scenes, and then I can knock myself out with research and find out a lot more about it and blend it all together, and it comes out pretty good.
What I like about it is, like you said, you can do Creature, but Universal, whatever, and truthfully, people have done Creature, Dracula, Frankenstein, all these movies.
Yep.
So what I like about the Scripts from the Crypt is, who would have thought Hideous Sun Demon would get that kind of attention? I mean, the only thing that would be better than that is a Blu-ray remaster of that. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying?
Well, Wade Williams is threatening to retransfer a lot of his movies and put them out on Blu-ray. So
man.
we may see some of these things in the future.
If that happens, because he's friends with Susan Hart, fingers crossed, Teenage Werewolf, Teenage Frankenstein, please make it happen.
Oh, that would be nice.
Oh, man.
That would be nice. But Wade will come through. He's been releasing these things in different formats since he was putting them out in 8mm in the 70s. He doesn't let any dust collect on the titles he controls.
Right. And I just imagine you've got this office filled with notes from various interviews and such, because so many books over the years. I see them all the time, like in the Creepy Classics area. My local library has a handful of them. I mean, I see them all over the place, just interviews with these luminaries, people who were involved in these films. What was the hardest interview that you got your hands on?
Before we go on, you had to say local library. I went into my local library a few years ago I was researching an actor, or I was researching somebody who was so well known that I thought to myself, maybe I don't have to go to the New York Public Library in Manhattan. Maybe I can just get away with going to my local library. And I go in, and as I'm going through their movie books, they had one of my books. And
nice.
I have my very first book.
Oh, wow.
And I couldn't have been happier because, their purchase of it had nothing to do with me. And it, obviously, my first book was 88, so it had been there 20, 25 years. I pulled it off the shelf, and I opened it up to see how many people had taken it out, and I heard the tiniest little pop, and I got a face full of new book smell. No. Since the day it went on the shelves in 1988, it had not been touched by anyone.
Oh, no.
And I wept a little.
Oh, man.
I put it back on the shelf.
Oh,
My hardest to get interview.
Yeah.
They generally aren't hard to get. The people tend to be a little, more than a little, sometimes enthusiastic about it, because I write about people who've never been written about before and think they're never going to be written about. Mm-hmm. So none of my interviews, nothing jumps into my mind that was particularly hard to get.
That's good. That's good. Of the Scripts from the Crypt series, if listeners aren't familiar with them, which one would you recommend as like an entry point to get into what you do with these things?
I think Hideous Sun Demon.
Yeah.
For one thing, it's like the size of a phone book, and it's only $25. So it's a bargain, and it does have a lot of information and a lot of pictures you've never seen from the movie, including pictures of the Sun Demon that you've never seen anywhere else. So I think that would be if I had to give one out to whet somebody's interest, that would be the one.
I've been obsessed with that movie lately, so yeah I would agree, because it's a solid book, and I love the film. So. Mm-hmm. So I love that stuff.
It's almost a sad commentary on how deep I've gotten into this stuff. The thing is the size of a phone book, and as I was putting the finishing touches on it, I realized, I've got a lot more information that I didn't use. So at the end, there's a note of other books of mine where you can look up even a lot more about the Hideous Sun Demon, and that's the point at which you shake your head and you realize, boy, am I really overdoing it or what?
No, we don't think so. But we're obsessive about this stuff, right? And you've got so much material and knowledge. You run the quiz that happens here.
Here at Monster Bash, yep.
Yeah, the infamous quiz that, man, now you weren't here last year, but the 1 year that I came here and you did it before, I lasted maybe 3 or 4 questions in the audience, just playing along, and it's like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. Man, that quiz has a reputation as being so difficult, but I got to tell you, it is so entertaining just to kind of watch and play along at home, or in the crowds anyway. And man, just the rattling off of what you do. How long does it take you to put those questions together?
Well, sometimes I just get an idea for a question. It's fun when I think of a question that could be, name them. Oh, I can't think of a good example.
Well, don't give anything away.
No. Okay. But often when I watch a movie or even read a novel, I recently read the novel Phantom of the Opera. I've had it all my life. I started it as a kid. It was dull. I gave up. I tried it again as a teenager. Yeah. I got a little further. It was stunk. I gave up. I am now reading with the attitude of it's going to stink, but I'm going to get to the end. I am now reading a lot of the old classics, Frankenstein, Phantom. And you know what? They're actually pretty good.
Good.
Once you don't have a childlike idea of what it ought to be,
right?
And with a little patience, you can get through. And The Lodger is a darn good suspenseful book.
Oh, okay.
So that was a surprise to me. So I'm forcing myself to read these things, and it's almost always a positive experience. So whenever I watch a movie, now that it's fresh in my mind, let me write some quiz questions on this movie. I read a novel. One of the old novels. Now that it's fresh in my mind, let me make some questions up for the next quiz. So it's just whenever I feel like it. And then, of course, at the end of a year, with Monster Bash looming a week away, and I look and I go, I don't have nearly enough questions. Then I sit down and there's a long session of making up many questions. But they're mostly multiple choice. So even if you don't know a lot, you can be lucky and win the quiz.
There you go.
And also, if I like you, like if it's some poor girl who's gotten dragged out of the audience, just or a little kid or something.
Yeah.
With my tone of voice or something, I will give an indication which is the right answer, or I'll point to the 3 answers on the paper, and the audience can't see what I'm doing. I'll point to the 3 possible answers on the paper, and I'll tap on the right one, just to give somebody who's not going to get any of them right at least one right.
There you go. Give them a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So you do the quiz, you do questions. Well, I've got questions of my own.
Good.
On my podcast, we have a game that we play called the Classic 5. It's kind of like an icebreaker, a conversation starter. Mm-hmm. I've got all these cards here, and each one of these cards has a this or that, what movie do you like better kind of question.
All right.
I'd like to play the Classic 5 with you, Tom.
All right.
What do you think?
little
There
a
are
little
no
trepidation.
No
but,
wrong answers. No
all
wrong
right.
answers. Okay, card number 1 right off the top. Which movie do you prefer?
I didn't cut the cards.
Do you want to cut the cards?
No. All right. I'm going to assume this is on the level.
Okay.
Go
okay.
ahead.
Card number 1. What movie do you prefer? I Was a Teenage Werewolf or I Was a Teenage Frankenstein?
Oh my God! I Was a Teenage Werewolf by a mile.
Yeah?
Such a well-made movie. Such a great score.
Yeah.
Teenage Frankenstein. 2/3 of the movie is just people arguing in a basement. I have
One of those people is Whit Bissell, so that's okay, though.
Yeah,
right?
but he's in Teenage Frankenstein too.
That's-
I don't have to give up Whit Bissell to choose Teenage Werewolf.
Okay.
No, Teenage
the other way.
Frankenstein
Yeah,
is
swap that. Yeah.
Yes, Teenage Frankenstein is down in the cellar in my estimation.
Okay, fair enough. All right, card number 2. Now, this has got a globe on the back, which means it's a Universal specific question.
Okay.
Who never appeared in a Universal monster film, but you wish they had?
Oh my goodness. That is a brilliant question. You know what? From the sound era,
Yeah?
when you say Universal horror film, I think of 31 to 45.
Right.
Conrad Veidt. Now he was in The Man Who Laughs.
Right, but-
in the silent days, but he was never in a sound one. So I would have liked to seen Conrad Veidt in a Universal
Or heard,
something or other.
heard him in one, at
Yes,
least.
exactly.
Oh, that would have been good.
And I also have a fondness, much as I love Karloff and Lugosi, I have a fondness for the movies in which they don't appear. Like
Okay.
Werewolf of London with Henry Hull.
Yeah.
I like, if this had been Karloff or Lugosi, I don't know if I would like it as much because, they each did 100 monster movies. I've had my fill of them as the star of monster movies. I'm grateful for every one that stars a Henry Hull or a Nils Astor instead of who you'd expect.
Change it up a little bit.
Yep, exactly.
There we go. All right, card number 3. It's another Universal card. If you could have been on set during the production of a classic Universal monster movie, which one would it be?
Sad to say, I've actually thought about that.
Yeah?
And it would be Frankenstein.
Oh, wow.
Just because I love that movie, and I think I'd be able to bring back to the modern world more stories, more interesting stories than if I had been on the set of Dracula or a lot of the others.
Call it research for a book and then use it as a tax write-off.
Absolutely,
There you go.
absolutely. Time machines don't come cheap.
All right, card number 4. What is your favorite John Agar monster movie?
Again, by a mile, Tarantula.
Above Revenge of the Creature.
Above Revenge of the Creature.
Wow.
Yes.
I don't know if we can be friends, Tom.
Oh no! Really?
I love Revenge of the Creature, but I'm a creature diehard. So.
Yeah.
But Tarantula is awesome. Though. I'll
It is.
give him that. So.
I think if you see it under the right conditions, it would be even effective today. This is a movie you could show to kids today who don't look at black and white, who don't look at anything old. If it's not made in the last 4 weeks, they don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
I think you could even show that to kids today.
I think so too. I think
Under the right conditions, good print. It's dark outside.
Yeah.
I think they would get a kick out of it. So Tarantula.
Okay. All right. Well, like
Also,
I said,
he might also give his best performance in Tarantula.
yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's no wrong answers. So,
All right.
All right. Final card. What 2 1930s monster movies would make a great double feature?
I have never done it, but one day I want to run Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein back to back because it is one story.
That's true.
The second one starts, well, except for the Mary Shelley prologue, the second one starts with the last scene of the first one.
That's
and they
true.
never did that again. Well, yes, they did. They did it with Dracula and Dracula's daughter.
But not the same. Wasn't nearly as effective.
It wasn't nearly as effective. That's correct. It was like the action continued.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken the body of Henry is taken to the castle, and it turns out he's alive, and the monster kills a new victim right away in the first 2 minutes of the movie, and it's a continuation, and the beginning is as exciting as the end of the first one was.
That's true. That's true.
Tom's still talking, huh?
That was Ron Adams from.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah, I think
we
that's. I
wanted to
think that's
meet
who
him.
it is. But he runs around here so fast; it's hard to really.
Yeah, we
make
call
him
the
out.
Roadrunner. Yeah,
Yeah. It's like the Flash.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think a few years ago, Fathom Events and TCM teamed up and did Frankenstein.
I'm sorry, who and who?
Fathom Events and then Turner Classic Movies
Yes.
did a special screening of Bride and the original Frankenstein back to back, and it was amazing to see back to back.
Right.
So, hey, I'm right there with you. That'd be a good run. A good run. Well, that was a Classic 5, Tom. How do you feel? You survived.
I think I did okay.
You did okay. You did okay.
Where's the prize?
The prize is you get to tell me about your book.
Which one?
Well, that's true. The one that's got the tarantula's shadow on the cover.
Oh, Universal Terrors.
Yes.
I started that back in the 90s, and I told McFarlane that I could be done by 1997. And they gave me a contract that said 1997, and I diddled and I dallied, and I did more interviews, and I thought of more different ways that I could write about these movies. And again, and occasionally I just set the darn thing aside for 6 months or a year, and it turned out to take 20 years to do it with the help of David Schechter. You may have heard of that rascal, who wrote about the music of each movie, and Dr. Robert J. Kiss, who wrote about the distribution of each movie. And they both contribute, I meant to say this a minute ago, they both contribute also to pretty much every script from the Crypt book. And when we got off that subject without me mentioning them a minute ago, I felt bad. So they are also key contributors to the Universal Terrors. And you know what? I'm glad. I look at it, I know how ridiculously long it took, but as I look at it, I shouldn't sit here and praise my own something I helped make myself. But as I look at it, and I know all the stuff that wouldn't be in it if I had finished it in 1997, I'm really happy that I didn't.
I'm a big fan of it. Like I said earlier at the beginning of this, I'm a big fan of your work. Obviously, I've got you on my bookshelves, and I was really looking forward to running into you again this year at Monster Bash. I do think it's probably my favorite book so far that you've done. And I know it's easy to say because it's the most recent, but it's also just packed with so much. And because I'm a film score fanatic, having David Schechter's information in there and all the other Script from the Crypts books are just, it speaks to me on a level that is amazing. And I'm just a huge fan of that book, man. It is
thank
so
you.
good.
This makes up for the fact that somebody who's going to review it, a friend of mine, but even though they're a friend, they're going to review it and they're going to give it an honest review. And she said to me the other day, is every movie a day-by-day story of what happened on the set? She goes, because it's kind of tedious. So I'm glad to hear somebody say that they dug the whole thing.
If I had somebody, I don't want to have somebody in my life that's like, we're not friends, man.
I like honest people.
No.
Sometimes.
But see, I like that, though, because we're not there. We can't, unlike that card, we can't go back in time and have that. So to have the production notes and the day by day and what was going on, that to me makes me enjoy it even more. But then I'm also in it, so my nerddom runs deep here, man.
Good.
So I'm your audience, and I want to thank you for what you do, man.
Yeah, and like as we discussed before you turned on the recorder, Universal Terrors 1956 through 1960, ending with the Leech Woman, should be out in about 20 years.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Glad to hear you'll be there waiting for it.
I will be. It'll be worth the wait, I'm sure.
Dead.
Well,
well, you won't.
I hope not.
These two won't, but pretty much the rest of us, I think.
Tom, thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you very, very much.
So one of the things I was looking forward to the most here at Monster Bash is seeing how Dominique Lamssies experiences with Monster Bash, because she's heard me gab about it when we meet up in person or on the podcast or whatever. She came out here from the Pacific Northwest as well, from Portland. She's here now after a harrowing night in the Baltimore airport.
The horrors of Baltimore. No offense to anybody listening in Baltimore.
No. What do you think of the bash so far?
I'm loving it.
Yeah?
I think it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. This is our people, right?
Exactly.
This is awesome. Now, it's only Friday. It's going to be a lot busier tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get some more traffic. Oh, how many cat toys? Have you sold a bunch?
That's all that's left.
That's amazing. So Dominique has brought a couple of her tinglers are left here on the table. Those are selling for $20. But she has Monster Bash exclusives, part of the Wednesday special, which is, I had no idea she was doing this. It's amazing. Mini tinglers stuffed with catnip. And when I left earlier, which is about an hour and a half ago, there were a bunch at the table. There are, is that 2 left?
Yeah.
Good on you.
Well, it's actually more good on Tracey because she was here most of the time while I was in the dealer room when they sold. But
they sold themselves.
That's amazing. Well, now you've got some money to spend in the vendor's room.
Yep, exactly.
Have you been good so far?
One more time?
Have you been good so far?
Oh, yeah.
No, you didn't buy anything yet?
I went to Victoria Price and I bought one of every book she had, and that actually ate up all the money I had for today. No. So tomorrow might be a different story, but for now.
The nice thing about having her sign the books is she doesn't charge.
Yeah, this is true.
She and I think people have heard the story that her father never charges, so she doesn't either, which I think is amazing. She's so cool. Victoria's awesome.
She's so great.
She's cool.
Awesome.
So what have you done so far?
Mostly just hanging out. I saw Day of the Triffids.
First time for you, right?
Which was my first time, which was great.
Awesome.
That movie is so dark. It's so dark,
it's
but good.
Mid-50s?
I want to say mid to late 50s, maybe?
Okay.
No, it has to be the 60s, because I think... Because they were showing it with Yanina Faye doing the Q&A after.
Okay.
And I think she said she was older in this one than she was in Horror of Dracula,
So,
which was,
yeah.
like 59?
Yeah. Okay.
So
early 60s.
Yeah.
Very cool. I still need to see it. And as I've told people, the only reason I haven't seen it yet is because there are a handful of you out there, listeners, who've said they want to come on and talk about the Day of the Triffids, and I say, okay, yeah, let's do it. And then nothing ever happens. I'm sure somehow it's Scott Morris's fault. But I've made sure that I haven't seen the movie because I want to keep it fresh.
I'm here to take my mics back that I'm borrowing here.
So you did the movie. Did you do any of the talks or presentations or anything?
I did, again, the talk with Yanina Faye afterwards.
Okay.
But nothing after that. I think
Okay.
it was just a bunch of hanging out after that.
These are our people, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I love just kind of watching you just kind of, which is awesome, which is I'm sure how I was the first year I came. Trying real hard to keep it cool, but, you know, I fanboyed out all over Julie Adams that year. So, you know, I hope I didn't get anything on her per se, but, you know, I just was all over. So,
Yeah.
So.
No bail money was required, so yeah, you were.
This is true. But yeah, Victoria Price is awesome. She came through. We're in a prime spot, so everybody who comes in has to come this way,
Yeah.
which is pretty nice. Caught up with a bunch of friends and had some other people here. Do you have any other plans for the weekend? Anything you want to make sure you see or experience?
Well, tonight is the Santo at the Wax Museum, which
you
I
gonna
totally
do
want
that?
to do. Yes,
Awesome.
I'm totally going to that. And then tomorrow night is the throwing of the stuff, which I'm looking forward to.
They throw a lot of stuff. Right? Ken can vouch for that. They throw so much stuff. This is the best podcasting is when I gesture to somebody who's not on mic and he just nods. That's what I wanted.
That's right.
The throwing of the stuff is fun.
The throwing of the stuff, yeah.
Now they do the Festival of the New Wine before the throwing of the stuff, don't they?
That's correct.
And that's a blast. Do you think you'll have Lederhosen again this year? Do you think you'll have Lederhosen again this year?
I hope so. I'm making a call for it.
So they play the sequence from Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, and it's a big sing-along. It's so fun. But yeah, the throwing of the stuff, and I think tomorrow night is it Kennedy stuff too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And the live theater tomorrow night as well, because I dig that kind of thing.
I've never done any of that here, so you have to let me know how it is.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Totally.
forward to hearing about it all. What about Sunday?
Sunday, let me see. I'm checking the book. Again, good podcasting. Well, there's the radio show that's going to be a Vincent Price thing. And then I'll probably go to the Frankenstein thing. And then probably just more hanging out.
Right on.
Buying the last of the stuff.
You feel like it was worth it already?
Yeah.
Good.
I got my money's worth already. I'm good.
That's the one thing that I worried about when I promote this thing to people, especially people that I know I know what it takes to get out here. You know? So like when I was at one point, Christmas Wheel was going to come out, and then I was like, man, I really hope I haven't oversold it. So I'm glad. Yes.
Yeah, no overselling. It's awesome.
Chris, man, we love you. Next year, you got to come out.
Absolutely.
We got to find a way to get you out here, brother. And anybody else who's not here now, I'm sorry. You need to come out. So I am sitting here with some people that I wanted to talk with last year at the Monster Bash, and I didn't make it happen because of scheduling and all that. But as soon as I saw the mummy walking around the hallway, I was like, I got to get Janet on the show. I got to get her on the show. Mummy and the Monkey, how you guys doing?
Hey there. We're doing great, Derek. How are you, man?
I'm having a blast, and I've got you guys on. You're the first horror host I've talked to at the Bash so far.
For real?
For real. Well, I haven't seen very many horror. Now I think about it. Well, there'll be more tomorrow.
Yeah, there are some here. There'll probably be more tomorrow. I think we're down 3. There were 3 hosts that could not make it. The Bone Jangler, Penny Dreadful,
Mr. Lobo.
And
I haven't seen Lobo. Is he not here this year?
He's not here. No.
Yeah,
he was one that
sadly,
couldn't make it. Yeah.
He will be missed.
And I know about Penny Dreadful. I didn't know Bone Jangler. Man.
I know.
Well, I mean,
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah,
hopefully we'll be enough this year. We're going to try our best to fill them big shoes. You
Well,
know?
I was about to say I've got some of my favorites here anyway, so I'm still flying high here. This is all good.
Coolio.
This is all good. When we're done recording, I want to get a picture with both of you. Is that all right?
Oh,
That's
of course.
fine. Yes.
Of course.
Of course. You would say of course.
Yes.
What do you expect from the mummy?
That's right. So, how long have you guys been hosting?
Oh, well, the Mummy and the Monkey have been hosting together for, I think, almost 4 years now.
Yeah, I think that's about right. About 4 years we've been doing our show. Started out as the Mummy and the Monkey show, and within just this past year in 2018, we changed formats from a show that's been we put together.
We started out on public access cable in Cleveland, Ohio, and then went on to YouTube gained some following there. Was put in YouTube jail. And
we started streaming live on YouTube and had some issues with some of the content.
Okay, understood.
Like, they're very, the movies that you show, or it could be your own personal content that you come up with. Sometimes someone else can claim it's theirs, and even if it's not true, YouTube will take it down. So we transitioned to Facebook Live.
Yes. So now we have a Facebook Live, and we changed the name to the Mummy and the Monkeys Hairy Scary Hangout.
That's right.
But Mummy and Monkeys Show, I mean, close enough.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I follow you guys on Facebook, and I know at one point you were on YouTube. I think when I talked to you guys last year, we were talking about still doing some YouTube stuff. So
yeah. And then sometimes, our reruns will air on some Roku channels.
Okay. Are you part of like the Monster Channel and that network?
And
for people?
Monster Channel
Yeah,
as
Monster
well.
Channel, yeah.
Can't forget those guys.
Yeah, we were on Betamax TV. I think there's some stuff on Betamax still.
Is that still around?
I think it still is on Roku. Yeah.
Betamax TV had
Bizarre
some had some issues, but then they came back. They had to fix their server.
Yeah.
But instead of streaming live, it's kind of like watch on demand. You just pick whatever you want to watch.
Oh, that's very
So
cool.
there's a bunch of our shows in a queue that you can just pick and watch whenever you want. And we were on Bizarre TV for a while, but unfortunately, the person who ran that channel, Rhonda, she passed away.
That's the one that shut down.
Rhonda
I was
Baffles,
mixing him up.
Yeah, Rhonda Baffs.
And it was really sad that she died. It was like last year sometime.
Mm-hmm.
She passed. But anyway, so we're streaming live on Facebook Friday nights usually from 10 to midnight. We still show a bad public domain movie, put together skits and bits in between and chat with the folks and interact with them in between the breaks of the movie.
That is so cool.
Yeah, originally we were recording everything, editing it, putting it together as like a full featured episode and then uploading it.
Which would take about
putting
a
it on
month
cable.
to a month and a half, sometimes 2 months, sometimes longer to get an episode out.
With our jobs and stuff too. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
So with the streaming, it kind of forces us to get a movie prepared, chop it up, add sound effects if we can, and gather a bunch of bits and shoot some last-minute skits and sit down on Friday night, hit that live button, and just go for it,
Yeah, and it gives us a deadline, too, where it's like, okay, we have to have it done by this date.
People are saying they got the popcorn ready for Friday night, they're ordering it, and we have to be there, and we love it.
What are some of the movies you've done recently?
We did Vampire Ticks from Outer Space.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Michael Butt independent movie. Trust me, you never heard of it, but you got to see it.
What is it called?
Vampire Ticks from Outer Space.
Vampire Ticks.
Yes, Ticks, T-I-C,
Michael Butt is like the new Ed Wood now. And he stars in his movies. Everything's independent.
Yeah, he's out of Milwaukee, right? Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he makes his own independent movies, but Vampire Ticks is a very, very interesting one. The ticks are basically surgical gloves that are inflated. And there is a scene in the movie where they're in a trailer talking about what to do about these ticks, and they're all standing by this big picture window, and obviously someone's hurling these inflated gloves, and they're hitting the window as they're talking.
No, they were being attacked by them.
Yes, attacked. And you just fall out at that part. It's just too funny. But it's great stuff. We showed Vampire Ticks, and we showed... Assignment Terror.
Oh, Assignment Terror.
Which is also known as Frankenstein versus Dracula. And what was it?
The Killer Shrews, and you added a lot of sound effects to these movies, and it makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Grimm did.
So we're trying to pull out, we're going to pull out probably a lot of the stuff that's definitely public domain. Killer Shrews, Attack of the Giant Leeches, maybe Manos, the Hands of Fate. We'd like to show that.
I love Manos so much.
Yeah.
Unironically, I love Manos so much.
Yeah,
it's a
try
sickness.
to show that. Anything that's definitely on the public domain that no one's going to complain about.
Well, if we do play Manos, we would have to have some new Madame Manos skits. So we also have other characters. Madame Manos, she's a fortune teller.
Yeah, so
and
we
a fan named her Madame Manos.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we have
I love that.
Yeah, we have other characters we do in skits that we show on the show. So, yeah.
So I'm assuming you guys had horror hosts growing up. If there's like one or two that like directly inspired you to get into doing this, who would that be?
Mummies first.
Oh, gosh.
We grew up in Cleveland.
So we grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and we grew up watching Big Chuck and Little John, The Ghoul. If we had cable, we would watch Elvira whenever she was on.
Right.
So it was, and then the Akron, Ohio people had Son of Ghoul.
Right.
And then I would watch also the classic monster movies and the monsters. So I think it was like a whole big clump of all of those things that I loved.
A monster bash of sorts.
Yes, yes.
if you will, or if you would. Yeah, I grew up also in Cleveland, Ohio. Watched a fellow named Superhost on Saturday mornings. Big Chuck and Little John. Houlihan and Big Chuck was before them. The Ghoul. Lots of different ones in Ohio. Ohio has something in the water that produces many horror hosts for some reason. And then later on, the syndicated shows like Elvira and Mystery Science Theater 3000, really inspired by them.
You're going to laugh because when I first saw Mystery Science Theater, I'm like watching the show. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel back in the day, and I'm like, why are they blocking the view? Why are they talking over it? Like, I didn't get it at first. I was like 12 or something.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan either at first, but then I started seeing, hey, they did something different with the horror host format, totally different.
Yeah.
And that was really inspirational as well. Now, mind you, I was in my 20s at this time when I saw them. They didn't come on until like the mid to late 90s, but that's how old I am. But anyway. Yeah, but multiple hosts. And then later on, we got to learn more about horror hosts from around the country, like Zachary, all the classics, Sammy Terry, Sven Gulli.
Chili Billy, since we're near Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
every big city seemed to have their own late night movie host, and
I'm so jealous of those people. I did not have one.
No?
I grew up. I was a military kid. My dad moved around a lot, and I didn't have a host growing up. I knew who Elvira was because it played at my grandparents' house when I would go down to visit. And they always made me change the channel because they didn't think little Derek should be watching Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and whatever. It just made me crave it more,
Right.
But that's
so you were
crazy.
like a horror host orphan.
I know. It was awful. Now I've made up for lost time. I'm buying all the DVDs. Some of my best friends are horror hosts. I love this. I love the art form. I've actually had people tell me, you should do it. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Because I see what you guys do, and I love what you guys do. And it's so cool. And that you're doing independent films and giving independent filmmakers a platform.
Yeah,
that's pretty special.
Yeah, and we had another one, too. We did. It was Phantom the opera one.
Phantom Theater?
Phantom Theater,
Theater. And these were like more Ohioans, but
younger kids,
they
probably
were like
teenagers, like 14, 15.
And now they're like college age now.
Yeah,
but
they made their own movie.
They made their own movie.
Based on an amusement park feature at Cedar Point that was closed down. Or no, was it Kings Island?
Kings Island, I believe.
Yeah, Kings Island, an old amusement park, had an old feature called the Phantom Theater, and it was closed down, and they went to this abandoned theater and encountered a phantom that was there. So they made this movie a while back, and they wanted us to show it, and we did, and that one got a lot of views.
It did, because I think all their friends were watching.
Yeah, that
and
works for us.
family, which is cool, and because people were like really liking it. And with the Facebook Live, people can comment as it's streaming,
right.
So it's very interactive. Everyone can chime in and have their say.
And so far, everyone's behaving pretty well on there.
Yeah.
Well,
Only
you're lucky
trolls.
because it is Facebook.
Yes, it's the internet. Anything goes. It's like the Wild Wild West still. So yeah,
right.
That is so cool. So I have a game that we play here on Monster Kid Radio. I'd like to play with you guys. It's called the Classic Five. I've got a deck of cards here, and each one of these cards has a this or that. What movie do you like better? Style question.
Okay.
It is like an icebreaker kind of thing. Party game.
Yeah.
There are no wrong answers. Would you like to play the Classic Five?
Sure.
All right, here we go.
That's the wrong answer.
Oh no, I lost already.
But there aren't any, so that's good.
Okay. Card number 1. This actually comes from our Universal Expansion deck.
Ooh.
Which movie do you prefer better? The Tarantula or the Deadly Mantis?
Ooh, I know that. I'm a Mantis guy. I watched that.
Really?
Watched that movie quite a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like that movie.
I'd have to say Mantis. I like praying mantises. Make praying manti. I don't know what the plural
Tarantula is the one
form
with
is.
Clint Eastwood, right? I believe.
Well, John Agar.
Yes,
and see,
of
that's the
course,
thing.
Mr. Agar, yes.
All right. Card number 2. What one black and white monster movie would you want to see colorized?
Ooh, good. That's a good question.
That is a good question. That's hard to say.
You can't say Mantis, okay?
Well, no. Colorized.
Yeah. Okay. Take a shot at it.
You try first, Grim.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Really?
Yes, because we could see how green he really was.
See, Creature's my favorite film, so I don't know.
I didn't know that. See, stepped right into that one. Right into Lagoon. Boom. Okay, Revenge of the Creature. How about that?
What about you?
Oh, jeez. I guess because I like mummies, maybe just the Boris Karloff mummy movie. But
I've always wondered what it would look like in color.
Yeah.
Like, you see photos of like Pierce's makeup of Frankenstein, but I don't know if I've ever seen a color photo of the makeup of the mummy makeup.
But I think only if they had the color real stylized, like was that Basil Gogos?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if they did the
like
coloring like
the
that, almost
contrasting
like
colors, purple and orange. And
Yeah.
It makes
some kind
me,
of weird colors.
like the movie Sin City had like the real cool like
Yeah.
stylized coloring and
Black and
only
white
if
with
I could
only
see it
spots of
like that
color, yeah.
from a whole different like perspective.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Card number 3. This actually is part of our Monster Bash exclusive expansion deck.
Ooh.
What is your favorite Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde movie?
My favorite one? Wasn't there a silent film version?
Yes.
That one.
Okay.
It's such your favorite that you had to ask.
Well, thought yeah. Anyway.
Dr. Abbott and Costello, did they ever meet Dr.
They did.
Jekyll? That's
And
right.
Boris Karloff played him.
Yes, that's the one I like. I remember that one.
That one's
Yeah.
good. That one's good. All right, card number, let's see, this is card number 4. What other monster should Abbott and Costello met in the movies?
Look at that. How random was that?
They should have met the Mummy and the Monkey.
Oh, how now? There you go. And with CGI, they could probably do that now.
Yeah.
So there you go, Universal. Yeah, you can make amends with the horror community out there with that bad Mummy movie you made, and do Abbott and Costello meet the Monkey and the Mummy.
You know what? Sign me up for that. You know, let's start a Kickstarter campaign to raise funds.
Let's do this.
I'm on board. All right, final card. What Boris Karloff role could have or should have been played by Bela Lugosi?
Oh boy, what? That's like.
Yeah, well, he turned down Frankenstein.
I know. It was above me.
But it would almost, but because he was so, they had such a kind of, how would you say that?
Well, I think that was a one-way thing. I think Bela had a little issue with all that.
Kind of like a grudge or a chip on his shoulder about it.
It would be interesting to see what he would have done with the character, but...
well, he did play him once in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
Right, yes. But the original...
But in the original, yeah.
But to see it in like the original...
I wonder how James Whale would have handled Lugosi. That'd be interesting to see that.
I would just want... Yeah, just because it'd be like, okay, well, let's see what you got, you know?
Or Karloff as Dracula meeting Betty Boop. That would be interesting, too. Remember that whole...
I can't hear anybody but Lugosi saying, "You have booped your last boop." You know,
That's
I
true.
can't hear Karloff saying that.
That's true. Well, there you go.
So that was the Classic 5. Tell me where people, or tell my listeners where people they can find you other than Facebook. Is that pretty much the main place?
All over the interwebs, like themummyandthemonkey.com.
That's the main hub. If you go to themummyandthemonkey.com, you can find the links to everything that we do.
Okay. I'll
there.
make sure when this episode goes out, there will be a link in the show notes because I want to, promote some of my favorite horror hosts.
Aww.
I love what you guys do. I
Thanks
really
a
do.
lot.
You guys are awesome.
And we love Monster Kid Radio.
Yeah. Awesome. One of the things I look forward to most about Monster Bash is connecting with people that I've only known through the internet. People have been on my podcast, people I'm friends with on Facebook. And yesterday, this guy walks in wearing the best T-shirt I have ever seen. Tim Durbin was here, and if you remember, he was on the episode that we covered The Most Dangerous Game on, which is still one of my most favorite movies that I've watched for the show. It's so cool. Tim, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing just fine.
What do you think of this is your first bash?
This is the first bash I've been to, yes.
And what do you think so far?
Oh, I'm having a blast.
Yeah?
It's
What
a lot
did
of
you do
fun.
yesterday?
Well, I attended Frank Delestrito's talk on Ghost of Frankenstein.
Oh,
that
so
was
good.
a lot of fun.
Mhm.
And I've just been going around meeting people. I got Victoria Price to sign something for me. I met David G. Hardy. Who's a wonderful fan artist and such a nice guy.
He's a really cool guy.
Uh-huh.
He's the artist that if you like any of his photos he puts online, he will personally say, "Thank you, so-and-so," and tag you in the post.
Yes, he will.
Really good work. Really good work.
Uh-huh.
What are you looking forward to today?
Well, Joshua Kennedy's got his midnight screening of the St. Augustine Monster.
Have you seen it yet?
I have seen the St. Augustine Monster.
It's really good.
But it'll be nice to see on that big screen.
With a group of people. It's a nice dark room. It's warm. I'm hoping I don't doze off. I've seen the movie before, and it's a silent film, so there's no dialogue. It's like, but there's a sneak preview of something that I'm just going to say is coming.
Yes, it's
At least
very
that's the
exciting.
plan. So, have you seen it? Did he show it to you?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Man, I'm so glad that you came, man.
Yeah, I'm really glad to be here. Glad to meet you in person.
And I've seen you palling around with Josh and Dan Day Jr., who
That's right.
We give a hard time to now because he's now been in a movie with Veronica Carlson.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. He plays it down like, oh, it's no big deal, but then immediately, but I did have lines with her. So, yeah, I don't know how he does it. Man, Josh has put together an amazing just thing. I don't know. Is it a career? Is it a filmography? I don't know what he said. He flew here from Martine Beswick's house.
Yes, he did.
Dude.
He's amazing. He really is.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. I'm so glad to see you, palling around with him. It's like, man, you're going to have the best time here because he's the man.
Yes.
So, you want to do a few Classic 5 questions since you're here? All right, cool. So we got the Classic 5. I got the new cards, looking all professional now. Right off the top, it's a Hammer card.
Alrighty.
Who's your favorite actress to appear in a Hammer film?
I think I'd have to go with Hazel Court.
Really?
Yes.
So many people go like the Ingrid Pitt route or something like that. Hazel Court.
Yes.
Which is your favorite Hazel Court performance?
Well, she didn't do a lot for
No,
Hammer.
she didn't.
No, but I'd have to go with Curse of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
She has such a genteel sense about her, but she's also ready to stand up and fight for herself or fight even for the Baron in that particular performance.
Very cool. No, I like her a lot. Okay. All right, second card from the core deck. Who do you prefer, Lon Chaney or Lon Chaney Jr.?
It's a tough one, but I think I would have to go with Junior just because I haven't seen as many of Lon Sr.'s movies.
Okay.
And the ones I've seen are classics, of course. But Junior, he's just got that kind of everyman quality and kind of the tortured self that lots of people can just really identify with, myself included.
Yeah. He's a great actor. I feel like maybe not to the extent that Lugosi, but he didn't get all the breaks.
Uh-huh.
And, I haven't mentioned this on the show yet. Here's an exclusive. I've got a project in the works regarding Lon Chaney Jr. that I want to do.
Oh, awesome.
So I feel like there hasn't been a lot of attention paid to him the way Lugosi and Karloff has had attention paid to him. Mm-hmm. And it's time. So we'll just say that.
All right.
Card number 3. This is the Monster Bash exclusive deck.
Uh-huh.
If you could have a drink or a meal with any Monster Bash guest, past or present, who would it be?
Any Monster Bash guest.
And you don't have to say me because I'm here.
Oh, I'm trying to think. I mean, it's a tough one because there have been so many greats. Since this is my first, I think I'd go with Victoria Price.
She's so cool.
Yeah.
She's so cool.
Yeah. I think that would be a pleasure.
All right, card number 4. What's your favorite Ray Kellogg film? The Giant Gila Monster or The Killer Shrews?
I'm going to have to go with The Killer Shrews. Just because I know some people rate it, it's dogs and costumes, but it's a pretty scary film, and the giant mock-ups of the shrew heads are pretty scary all on their own.
Yeah. I like Giant Gila Monster a lot because it's got that rock and roll thing going.
Yep.
But Killer Shrews you're right, it's scary.
Uh-huh.
I know the dogs with the rugs on them, whatever, but it's a scary film. So, yeah, there you go. All right, final card. What classic monster movie would you like to see turned into a theme park attraction?
Well, I think Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yes! You win.
Because I just want a scene where you're out on a boat and then the tour guide's explaining everything and then the creature pops up and kidnaps her.
Only if you get that stinger.
But
only if you get that when it pops up. Gotta have that plan. That's awesome, Tim. Well, thanks for doing the Classic 5, man.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Now, are you here the rest of the weekend, too?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So I'm sure I'll see you around.
Alrighty.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Okay, thanks so much.
Oh, wait. Your websites. We got to mention them.
Oh, yes.
We got to self-promote here.
Okay, Viewing the Classics, all one word, no spaces, .blogspot.com. Mm-hmm. And I also review classic TV at Classics on the Tube, all one word. .blogspot.com.
I don't know if they're in the permalink section of the website, but they really need to be. So when I get home, I'll do that. So
nice of you. Thank you.
Hey, man, you do good work.
Oh, thank you. You do good work.
Go on. No, that's it. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, so we are sitting here with another person who listens to MKR that I finally got to meet in person. Yep. He's interacted with the show a little bit with some email and that sort of thing. Todd Brown, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
What do you think of the bash so far?
Very spendy. My bank account doesn't think of it as much as I do.
So do you have a budget when you come to these things, or just like whatever happens?
I do, and very rarely do I keep any budget.
Get gone the first day.
It's gone usually the first 5 minutes.
Well, you are a collector of classic monster movie posters and papers and things like that. What's the website? Where can people find it?
TheHauntedCinema.com.
I know we've mentioned it on the show before, and I need to update like the permanent link section of my website to make sure there's a link to it. People need to check it out. There's some really cool artwork in there, and I mean, it's phenomenal stuff, man.
It's all from my collection, and
that you're sharing it with people online is just fantastic.
Yep.
You're doing Godzilla's work, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. We got a lot of good interviews coming up that are already out, and wait for responses back yet. So.
You're just saying that because you've got me doing it.
I do. I'm going to be interviewing you. I want to do we try to focus on the creators and the artists and the folks that make the genre what it is.
What are some of the people you've had interviewed?
Well, right now so you are coming up. Obviously, you're number one on my hit list.
Wait, hit list. Wait, what?
Sue Heim from Hollywood Poster Frames.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So she knows everybody in the industry. So we're going to got her. Dark Hoffman, who did he was the prop master for Babylon 5.
Oh, cool.
But he's done a lot of digital artwork for the Harry Potter franchises. So we're doing him. Just did the Devil's Workshop, a mask maker.
Okay.
Pete and Facile from Devil's Workshop, and I've got the Crimson Ghost Mask Room coming up, and Eric Austin, who does he set up Mask Fest, which is a big convention for masks in conjunction with Horror Hound. So a lot of things. The Mummy and
the
monkey. I've got her. She and him. I suppose he talks. He's a monkey, but who knows?
He does talk. I had him on the show yesterday. Well, we recorded. People will hear it today. But on this episode, you know what I mean.
I got it.
Editing.
So anyway, we got quite a few, and then we got quite a few that we want to do down the line.
Very cool, man. I love the site, and I love the approach. See, I get so wrapped up into the fandom of the movies themselves. I love looking at the posters and the lobby cards, but if I look too long, I end up trying to buy them. So I'm going to live vicariously through your website for that until my bank account gets really big. Then maybe I'll come to you and ask you where I can buy some stuff.
My nephew just started writing for the site, and he's 20 whatever, and he's got a column. He's going to do horror from his high horse, and he's going to start looking at old movies that he's never seen before.
Really?
And he's going to start talking about from his generation's point of view and I think he's going to tackle them. The first one is going to be them.
Oh man, he's starting good.
Yep.
He's
and then my son Josh, he does a little bit more contemporary. He did a thing on Solo, the movie, and he's done one on CGI and horror and how it's not very good.
So you're doing it right, man. Man, that's a parenting win.
There you
that's
go.
What it is right here.
Did you hear that?
You want me to isolate that clip?
Yes,
and
please.
Send it to you?
Send it. Just play it on loop. I'll play it on his phone. It'll be his ringtone.
All right, so you want to play around to the Classic 5 with that? All right, okay. Card number 1 looks like this comes from the Hammer deck. What do you prefer, Hammer horror or Hammer sci-fi?
Hammer horror.
Hammer horror?
Easily. Whether it's Cushing as Frankenstein or Lee as the Mummy, anything Hammer horror I'm in.
I've heard more people talk about Lee as the Mummy this weekend than I normally do in my real life, and it's been awesome.
Actually, I like Lee as the Mummy and Dracula, I think, better than the Universal side, but catch me on a different day, I may say that.
We had that conversation last night with some other people, so no, he's fantastic.
He was vicious in both. The monsters were vicious in both.
Yeah. All right. What character from a classic monster movie would you like to have a drink or a meal with?
A character from a classic, Dr. Frankenstein from Curse of Frankenstein.
You'd like to sit down to a meal with Peter Cushing's Dr. Frankenstein?
I would. I think that would be high class. It would be a little off the wall, a little arrogant. I like it. It'd be fun.
So I got Dominique in the background throwing up the horns.
There you go.
Support.
There you go. Oh no! You know what?
You use it for parts, man.
You'd feel okay.
All right. Third card. What was the most recent Universal monster movie you've watched?
The most recent one was The Invisible Man Returns.
So good, right?
Yeah, it really was good. I started watching all of them by release date, and then I had to go on a business trip, and I forgot to take the Blu-ray sets, so I got out of order. But no, I liked The Invisible Man Returns an awful lot.
Did some prices? I mean, I know people associate Price with The Invisible Man because of Abbott and Costello.
Yep.
He wasn't the first, though.
No.
But man, he makes the role his own.
Yeah, and it was so different from... it wasn't just formulaic, hey, let's just rehash The Invisible Man all over again with a different cast.
Right.
They did something completely different.
And the story itself is just, it's this mystery kind of thing going.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
great. And Vincent Price got a little off the hook as he went going. No, that was good. Good stuff.
All right, fourth question. What movie do you prefer? Dracula's Daughter or Son of Dracula?
Dracula's Daughter, just because I once had the mask and the movie poster. And I think it's so stylish. That's a very 50s kind of vibe. Yeah, I think it's going to be... Oh, I'm thinking Dracula's Daughter. That's
30s. Yeah.
No, I'm going to stay with it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to stay with it. Dracula's Daughter. I like them both. Dracula's Daughter.
It's underrated, though.
That's a tougher question.
It's an underrated film, though.
Yes, that's a tougher question.
Really good.
I'm thinking of Blood of Dracula, by the way.
Oh, okay. Which is also a fun movie.
It is.
All right, final question, final card. What is your favorite Ray Harryhausen creation?
I really like Ymir. Ymir. There's a lot of sadness in that monster. Yeah, there's a lot of sadness in all his monsters. But that was one of those, he's almost like a Frankenstein kind of monster where it really isn't his fault, but it was going to come to the end of it came. So I think him. I mean, there's so many great monsters.
He gave so much personality to them, and I mean, even something like Earth versus the Flying Saucers, where it's just spaceship flying saucers.
Right.
You feel like there's somebody in there piloting those things. It's not just a machine, this prop.
Exactly.
There's just something about his work. Yeah.
And we were just talking. My son and I were just talking about King Kong original, and then versus CGI stuff, and how those kind of, even though it's stop motion and it looks like what it is, they have a believability and a life to them that you accept.
Yes.
And you're like, I'll accept that that's a dinosaur right there. Or CGI can fade away on that.
Now, did you watch Dinosaurus in here yesterday?
No, I wasn't here. We came up today.
Oh, okay.
Too many posters, not enough room for money for move.
I understand. Totally understand. Completely get it, man. Well, that was a classic 5. How do you feel?
Awesome. Good stuff.
Todd, thank you so much.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. And I'll be sending you the interview questions. So we'll have
Please do. It'll be fun to do.
Awesome.
It'll give me a chance to think about it and sound intelligent, so that'll be great.
Hey, Derek, this is Todd from the Haunted Cinema. Just got back from Monster Bash, and I wanted to say that it was great meeting you and some of the folks that were hanging around your table. I got to meet Dominique and Tracey and Steve Turek, and that was really cool, hanging out, chatting monsters, and talking about all the good stuff that we like. Want to congratulate you on and Joshua Kennedy on your achievement awards. I think those are greatly deserved, and hopefully it's the first of many, because hopefully you got a long time to go in podcast Monster Kid radioing, if you will, and Joshua with his movies. So again, greatly deserved. Congratulations. Couldn't think of better people to get it. Really had fun playing the round of the Classic 5. Always wanted to do it. I kind of play along when you do it with your guests. And so it was fun to actually get a chance to do that with you. Again, fun meeting you. Monster Bash was great. Unfortunately, I could only stay for the one day. Find too many posters means you don't get to stay overnight in nice hotels. Hopefully, we'll get to see you again either in October, if you can make it, or for sure next year. That's all I got from the Haunted Cinema. Have a great day. Keep on doing what you're doing. Bye.
So that was Todd from the Haunted Cinema. I wasn't going to do like a feedback section of this episode just because it's Monster Bash coverage and I wanted to cram as much as I could. But as I go through everything that I've got here, I've got so much. We're just going to be spilling into next week's as well. So let's do that feedback, especially since it has to do with Monster Bash. And it gives me an excuse to get Brenda on the show. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm a little bit randomly sniffly. I don't know why. So
I'll edit it out so nobody...
I apologize if I sniffle.
No worries. Are you allergic to me because I've been gone? And then I came back and you're like...
No, it happened the whole time you were gone too. I suspect I need to change my allergy meds.
So is he allergic to the lack of me?
It was here regardless of your presence. You're here now. I'm still sniffly. I just need new allergy meds.
I'm finally here.
Yes, that's right. You got to stay in the weirdest hotel.
Oh boy. So just because of cost and money and, well, I guess that's the same thing, time, I opted to not fly out of Pittsburgh until Monday evening.
I didn't quite understand that. You were absolutely insistent on paying for another day in the hotel.
Yeah.
I think maybe forgetting how quickly things shut down on a Sunday.
Well, and we'll see what happens next year. I mean, I did like being able to take it a little easier Sunday night, but even if I stay till Monday next year, I'm not staying that late because then the chances for problems
seem to go up.
So what happened was I flew out of Pittsburgh on American Airlines, and I don't mind naming them. What happened was I flew out. The issue was ultimately what I was told is that the plane that was coming to pick me up in Pittsburgh was coming out of
Charlotte,
North Carolina. At one point they said it was coming out of Dallas. But
maybe
whatever.
Charlottesville. I don't know.
No, it was Charlottesville. Okay. Well, either way. Not Pittsburgh, not Dallas. And they said there were some maintenance issues with the plane coming out. And first they said it was getting delayed till 8, then 8:10, then 8:20, then 8:23. At the 8 o'clock mark, they told me it's not going to get pushed back any further. The plane's already in the air. Didn't get into the air until after they had pushed it all the way back to 8:23.
And you had a tight...
Oh, I already had a tight layover anyway. So I was supposed to go to Dallas and from Dallas catch a flight to Portland. And I made it late. I was really late getting into Dallas. And so they offered to put me up in a hotel and put me on a plane the following morning pretty early. And when I got up to the counter, the guy asked me which hotel I wanted to stay in, Best Western or the Wyndham. And I said, I don't know. I'm not from here. I've never had to go through this before. What's better? And he looks at me in the eyes and says, I'm going to give you the Wyndham. I'm thinking, okay, well, that sounds fancy. So the Wyndham, it looked fancy on the outside. After the taxi drove me there, and the cabbie was very proud of the largest interstate in America, I guess, which is like 11 lanes in Dallas, because it's big.
Which sounds like a nightmare to me.
Yeah, well, in Texas, if it's not big, it's not good, according to the cabbie, who also told me quite often that the vouchers that the airlines use to get the free taxi rides for us, they don't make any money off of it. I don't know if he was angling for a huge tip or something.
No.
Anyway, get to the Wyndham. It looks fancy outside. I walk in, huge open lobby space. Huge. And then I look to the left and I see what looks like, I don't know, like a bamboo display, except it's not bamboo trees along the wall.
No.
They are bright blue neon tubes arranged as if it was some sort of bamboo backdrop decoration.
Right.
And if you continue to let your eyes wander around that wall, you see a little bar area, which is also lit very similarly. Now, at this point, I didn't really pay attention to the furniture in the lobby because, I mean, it's after midnight. The flight they put me on is like at 6 a.m. or something, and I didn't...
It was the ridiculously tall chairs, right?
Yeah. So they put me in the room, and the lobby is all that's fancy. The room itself was... I don't even know how to describe it adequately, but the walls were one color. There was a sconce, I guess you could call it, across the curtains that had a bunch of Asian characters on it.
Mm-hmm.
There was this faux snakeskin leather thing that was used on the chair and the headboard that was against the wall.
But the little, where there would be buttons, they were just clear plastic gems.
Yeah, very, very cheap looking. The lights were all on when I came into the room.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Time to go to bed, try to turn off the lights. I can't find the light switch for the lamps. The wall lights, there are no light. I couldn't find them. The one switch that I thought controlled them, no, it controlled the light underneath the bed.
So by this point, I had read a bunch of reviews before you even got there, and I'm sending you texts like, this is going to be interesting. Don't give them your card number because there's a lot of reviews about random charges showing up.
I ended up unscrewing the light bulbs in the lamps to go to sleep. Fortunately, I had like 17 alarms set between my Kindle and my phone because I couldn't get the alarm clock to work. I didn't tell you about that. And the wake-up call I asked for never came in. So, fortunately, I got up, rinsed off real quick as best as I could because I didn't have my luggage and I didn't have
right, they didn't give you your luggage.
No. And I got on the plane, no problem. We're good. Got home okay. This was the cap of my Monster Bash experience, and it didn't really change the fact that I had a great time. So,
Yeah.
sorry, Wyndham. Next time you'll have to try harder if you're going to harsh my mellow. Just saying.
And then you got here at 11 a.m. our time and came home and kittied up.
That's right. Got my kitties. Got some of my food, which, we have some routines and some regular places we like to go. And we got Burgerville, and we hung out, caught up on YouTube videos that we hadn't watched in a while.
Yes.
We weren't able to watch together.
Frankie
and
D.
just had an us day, which was what we needed. And then that was Tuesday, and then Wednesday, here we are.
We did a bunch of chores.
Back to life as normal.
Mm-hmm.
Back to normal life. Anyway. But again, all that said, Monster Bash still feels like this surreal thing that happened around me.
Oh.
And I'm still holding on to that Monster Bash afterglow. The post-bash blues haven't set in yet. Partly because I haven't gone back to work. But the post-bash blues haven't set in yet. So I'm still flying pretty high. Yeah. So while I was gone, you just sat around eating ice cream and watching like Project Runway reruns and just pined away from me, right?
Sure. That's exactly what happened. No, I did a lot of chores every day.
Obviously not enough since we had to do some today, but
Derek Michael. Come on now. The chores we're doing today are get Derek in the shower, wash Derek's clothes, take care of Derek.
Yeah, just kind of getting back to normal.
Yes.
Getting back to normal.
Yeah.
Monster Bash was amazing.
I'm so glad.
And Todd, who called in, thank you for calling in, man. I had a blast chatting with you. Thank you so much for that amazing artwork you gave me.
Oh, the long, thin one? Yeah.
Yeah, the House of Dracula advertisement. That was very, very cool of you, sir. I received a lot of gifts, actually. And if I start to name them off now, because I don't have them all right in front of me, I'm going to forget one, and I'm not trying to. So I'm just going to say, in general, to all of y'all, the artwork, the books, the magazines, the comics, the DVDs, thank you so much. The lobby cards.
The dice with the skulls.
The very cool dice. Very cool, which Brenda really, really likes. So I'm going to have to hide them when I'm using them.
There's 5 of them. You could share some.
These are very, very cool, too. Yeah, no, it was, just thank you so much. And thanks to everybody who stopped by the table. And if you're a new listener because you discovered Monster Kid Radio at the Monster Bash, welcome. I hope you enjoyed what you've heard so far and you continue to enjoy the show. Glad to have you here. As my friend Ken Blose calls them, as a Monster Kid Radiohead. He said that in a message today. I was like, I like that. Radiohead, okay. Monster Kid Radioheads.
Yeah, didn't you get an alert that your podcast was being searched for or something on Google?
I did. It was weird. I've never really seen that before, but apparently I got some sort of weird... People are looking for... No, it was on Facebook. People were looking at Monster Kid Radio on Facebook.
Well, hey, that's awesome.
Very cool.
Hopefully that means there's some new Radioheads.
Yeah, hopefully. Hope you guys are enjoying the content so far. So far, we've been playing a ton of interviews from Monster Bash, and we're going to keep doing that next week as well. Now, I do have audio from the various Q&As. I haven't listened to it yet, but between myself and the amazingly talented Scott Morris, we have pretty much, a good chunk of the Q&As recorded.
For new Radioheads, that isn't the typical show format.
Correct.
Normally you're doing an interview and...
Yeah, the typical show format is an original piece of surf music. This week I'm just using the quote-unquote Monster Kid Radio theme. But normally it's a different piece of surf music to open up the show. We have a Monster Collectibles segment that Brenda reads, written by Michael Dodd. And then we have feedback. Ken and I are talking about a different segment he might be doing in the future for us, which I'm really excited about. I'll tell you about it off mic. So stay tuned, listeners. That's a tease. But most of the show is typically devoted to covering a particular film with an ever-rotating stable of guests. To give people a sneak peek about what might be coming up in the future, I have Jim Beard and Chris Franklin coming on to talk about The Body Snatcher. I've got Daniel Horn coming on to talk about Man-Made Monster.
Oh, I miss Daniel.
I've got Tracey Morris coming up to talk about The Wasp Woman.
Mm-hmm.
And in August, we're doing nothing but Edgar Allan Poe movies. We're calling it Edgar August Poe. I've got Larry Underwood, a.k.a. the horror host Dr. Gangrene. I've got Michael Ludgy, the horror host Dr. Dreck. I've got Rod Barnett from the Nashi Cast. And sculptor Brian Moore on deck to talk about some various Edgar Allan Poe films from the classic era. Things like The Tomb of Ligeia, The Crimes of Dr. Crespi, Castle of Blood, movies like that. I'm really excited for that as well.
So if somebody wants to hear a more normal show, they can go backwards and do some of the older ones, because 2 weeks in a row are going to be sort of Monster Mash related.
Right. And then last week was actually the announcement of the ballot for the Rally Awards, the Monster Kid Radio Retro Monster Rally Awards, the Rally Awards that we do. That was the ballot last week, which Stephen D. Sullivan and I talked about. But we've got a lot coming up. Dominique Lamssies is going to come on to talk about Planet of the Vampires. Just lots of really cool things happening in the future.
Do you think you should do a normal show next week?
You know, I kind of want to get the Monster Bash stuff out because I'm really excited about it. I had some really good interviews and some really good conversations.
Okay. Yeah.
And I want to share that with people. The Q&As I may parse out.
Yeah.
Or if it's relevant to the topic at hand, I may include it in an episode. Like when we do the Body Snatcher, depending on how the Sharon Moffat Q&A turned out, I might include that because she was in the Body Snatcher.
I dig it, bro.
What do you want to hear about Monster Bash? I mean, you've heard a lot.
Right, that's the thing. I feel like I've heard a lot of it. Scott and Tracy and you and Dominique. I will say I was pretty sad that I missed seeing my husband get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Like, that doesn't happen very often.
Well, it's a lifetime, so just like once. So
once a lifetime.
So when Todd said earlier in the voicemail, hopefully this is the first of many, how do you get a second Lifetime Achievement Award from the same people? I suppose in podcasting years, maybe, you know, I'm starting my second life.
I assume there's other Lifetime Achievement Awards out there. Get on it.
I see.
Maybe your Rondo and your Forey, I mean, now they're hanging out. They got pals, right?
That's right. They are now tag team partners.
Along with my phrenology head.
Well, yes. And then the Godzilla figure, which we have up there on the shelf next to the Forey.
Well, yes, that makes perfect sense. That is a wonderful foursome, and you should leave a recorder out so you could share it on MKR.
I told Josh, because he won one as well, right after me. They
Which
called
is
him up.
amazing. I mean, that's amazing.
You know, he's in his early 20s. So we're talking about me getting my Lifetime Achievement Award. What do I do next? What does he do next? You know? And he was talking about that. Like, what do I do now? It was so cool to win the award right before him, so that like we're Forey brothers now, you know. But we were talking,
right?
And because he's a filmmaker, we agreed that he is going to put his Forey in the background of every one of his movies somewhere. It's like an Easter egg, and then I'm going to put my Forey in the background of every one of my podcasts,
which it truly is behind us.
Yes. I'll be doing a YouTube video probably within the next week and a half, talking about the Forey and what that means to me. Because when I got up on stage, I didn't... This was the furthest thing from my mind that was going to happen at Monster Bash. It really... I don't do this stuff to get the awards and things like that. And I really felt like Monster Bash, the Forey Awards, the Lifetime Achievement Awards, was on a completely different level, a different spectrum of anything that I do. So for that to happen was pretty spectacular. And it still feels surreal. And I said it to them on stage. I've said it to them since then. Thanks. You know, I mean, if I'm going to wrap up everything that I plan on saying in a YouTube video, where I'm probably going to ramble a lot about how much it means to me, just to sum it up, thank you.
I think you should just do a bad overdub.
What do you mean?
That video Scott took, and you should just dub over with what you really meant to say.
Oh, okay, I see.
You didn't have a bad speech. It was good. It was funny. It was fast.
Yeah, well, I didn't. See, unlike the Rondo Awards, they don't tell people who's going to win this stuff ahead of time. With the Rondos, I knew. So I could put together a little YouTube video and submit it and that sort of thing a few years ago when I won that. But for this, I was just sitting there and he's talking up there on stage about celebrating classic monsters and just kind of like pointed at me. It's Derek. I'm like, what?
You said, I would have worn my black jeans if I had known.
Right. I was wearing,
You were comfortable. Yeah.
Especially next to Josh Kennedy, who's wearing a suit jacket and his top hat. I'm like, dude, who's this slob next to this kid? You're about making him in this award. It's pretty amazing.
It is.
I'm still pretty honored, pretty touched by the whole
Well,
thing.
of course. You could be like, I'm over it. I'm over it.
That's true. I don't think I'm going to be over this for a long, long time, if ever.
I don't think you should ever be
It's a
over
big
it.
deal. Daniel Horn sculpted this thing. I don't know if he knows that I now have an actual Daniel Horn sculpture in my home. We have a mask. We have lots
the
of
mask. We have artwork. Now you've got a sculpture.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to panic you when I sent you a picture of it and said, I can't believe this happened.
Jeez. What I got was a text. So this happened, and then a picture, I couldn't really tell what it was, and then another, I can't believe this happened, and then non-responsive. And the longer you went non-responsively, the more I thought maybe it was something bad that happened. So then I texted Scott and Tracey, is Derek okay? And that's when I found out you won a Lifetime Achievement Award, and then I cried a little bit because I didn't get to see my husband get a Lifetime Achievement Award.
I cried a little bit when it happened.
I know.
David The Rock Nelson, who is a frequent guest at these things, told me he also videotaped it, but he told me that he decided to turn off the camera before I started crying. So I'm okay. Nobody wants to see that, he said.
You know, I have to say that I really appreciate this about you, that you are an example of a man who is willing to express himself for all emotions, not just one. This idea that a man shouldn't be seen crying because it weakens him in some way. No, I think it was so sweet that you were so grateful and so surprised that you were a little teary. It conveys how much that means to you. And I think your willingness to talk about those things makes you so important as a role model.
Well, thanks.
Or, you know, as a model of another way of being.
Thanks, babe.
I love you.
I'm a lucky guy. I'm a lucky monster kid. I'm a real lucky monster kid.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go from there. Yeah, I don't know where to go from there. Todd asked about seeing me again. I am not going to be able to make the October show. While it would be amazing to be able to hit every single Monster Bash, and they're doing 3 events this year.
Oy.
Financially, not in the cards. However, next year, next summer, House of the Gorgon is making its premiere. I am not going to miss that. I am going to be there. Besides, I have that award, and I feel like I have to show up now or they're going to take it away.
I don't think that's true. But also, Mim is going to be there, right?
Chris Mim will be there,
Yeah.
so he does every other year. And of course, Josh Kennedy will be there
Right.
With House of the Gorgon. And there are plans in the works to get some of the stars from House of the Gorgon to the Bash. So that'll be amazing.
And you have a table that you're splitting with Tracey, of
Right,
course.
Tracey Morris will be using some of the table next year to sell more of her very cute felted, or it's not felt.
It's fleecies.
Yeah, little monster fleecies. The We Belong stuffed monster fleecies. So
Aw.
she'll be selling those. I know that Dominique wants to go again next year. And I assume if she goes, she'll have some tinglers. And I know there are some other people that wanted to go this year who couldn't. They're going to be there next year. I don't want to speak for them because it's not a done deal yet. But I do know that next year is going to be huge. I'm really looking forward to it. I actually plan on having some scheduled demo times for the Classic 5 game. Which made its debut at the Bash. The cards arrived. Scott actually recorded like a little unboxing video of it. So we'll see how that looks. I don't know how exciting it is to open up a box full of cards, but we'll see how that looks. And maybe I'll put it on YouTube or maybe not. But those made their debut, and I have some left over, which I guess I'm just going to recycle.
You better not. You put some money into that at a time where money's a little, so you better not.
What should I do with them, hon?
I believe you should sell them to try to make some money back on the investment.
Okay, so we are going to sell the Classic 5 that I have on hand, the stock that I have left over. Let's go ahead and sell those. The prices are, the core deck, 75 cards, $15.
I thought you were about to say $75.
Because I've been joking about it this whole time.
I feel like everybody who was listening who wants a deck just assumed core deck, $75. And just like me, everybody was like, what?
$75 for a core deck and I'll sign it.
No.
Otherwise, $15 for an unsigned deck of the core Classic 5, 75 cards. I have some Monster Bash exclusive cards left. I'm going to go ahead and sell them until they're gone. I'm not going to print any more up until next Monster Bash.
Okay, so wait. Core deck, $15. All these other side decks are how much?
$5.
That's right. Yeah, I thought so. So your side decks are...
The Monster Bash exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
There are 20 cards in that deck.
Mm-hmm.
The Hammer deck has 25 cards in it, and the Universal deck has 25 cards in it. I do not have a Kaiju deck yet. That'll be coming out in the next wave. Probably not going to wait a year for that to happen for next year's Monster Bash, but stay tuned. I'll announce that when it gets closer to making that happen.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do that. And really, if people are interested, they can email me. Don't just PayPal me money to Monster Kid Radio. Don't do that. My PayPal address is not monsterkidradio@gmail.com. Email me and I'll tell you how to do it, how to send me money via PayPal if that's something you're interested in.
Should you set up a Monster Kid one so for tax purposes?
Maybe. Well, but email me anyway. What do you think about shipping?
Well, I thought maybe we should see how much it is. I think that you're going to have to use a somewhat padded envelope because you don't want the edges of the cards to get dinged up.
Sure.
But it shouldn't be that much shipping, right? Because
I don't think so.
It could be a pretty small envelope.
I suppose I could go with like a flat rate too, just to kind of make it easier, but I almost feel like
those little, they're the size of the old movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, if I can make them fit in there. I'll get my hands on some.
Why do they make that size anymore?
I don't know.
Because I don't think anybody's sending tape reel-to-reel movies anymore, but
nobody's mailing VHS tapes
No,
anymore.
that's a word, VHS tapes, but it's that size.
Okay.
But how much is that little flat rate box?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Because maybe you could just offer options.
Yeah.
Do you want a flat rate box, which is going to be more sturdy, or do you just want to risk it with a bubbly envelope?
I think bubbly envelope might even be cheaper. You know what? A lot of this is probably a conversation we need to have off mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll figure it out. But that's what we're looking at. So people interested in the Classic 5 deck having one of their own, drop me a line. And once this stock is out, I'll probably hold off on ordering more until I have maybe the Kaiju expansion ready to go, or we know we can have enough sales to warrant another order.
Yeah, it would have to know that there's enough interest that it's worth paying to print another bunch of them.
Right.
I also think you should forewarn that you don't have the cards on you right now. They are in Disney, Indiana right now.
Right.
And they will be coming our way in the near future.
Right.
Scott and Tracey are prompt.
Yeah, the awesome thing about having friends who drive to Monster Bash is that they offer to take some of the stuff that I don't want to ship home.
Well, and we ship some things there, and then they drive it the rest of the way, so we don't have to worry about luggage.
Which is awesome.
And losing things in luggage.
Which surprisingly didn't have a problem with my luggage.
It's so odd that they got it here on the flight you were on. It just seems like the perfect scenario to lose luggage in.
You know, I was wondering about maybe they had it the whole time and they just kind of held on to it in the back room.
Well, yeah, but then isn't that the perfect scenario for somebody somewhere to forget, oh yeah, I have to go pick up that piece of luggage?
Who knows?
I was thinking it was late enough at night that maybe the plane to Portland was already sitting, waiting, ready to go the next day, and they just transferred it immediately.
It wasn't. It wasn't until I already made arrangements to get onto the other flight and everything was on track that I got a notification saying that the flight out of Dallas to Portland had been delayed 20 minutes. So I probably, if I had hustled, been able to make it home that night if I had known.
Yeah, but the Dallas airport does not look conducive to hustle.
No.
You've got to get on a little train, buzz your way around.
The little light rail system set up. What a nightmare. I did take the 4 in my carry-on.
Yes.
Which meant at every security stop, which was doubled because of the overnight stay in Dallas, I had to open up my suitcase and show everybody what was in it.
So 2. You had to do it twice.
it feels, well, because I had so much stuff. I had my laptop, my Kindle, my phone, my CPAP machine.
It's always so stressful. There's so much now that you have to take out.
I was so jealous of Dominique.
Why?
Because she just had her bag and that's it.
That's okay, honey. I'm sure if you wanted, she would take some of your stuff home and go through half the hassle for you.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It was a good time. Totally worth getting stuck in Dallas at the weird hotel. The Wyndham. If there's anybody out there who works for the Wyndham, please don't take this personally. I'm sure you didn't design the funky hotel room I was in. Right. I didn't tell you this either. When I walked into the hotel room, I turned the corner to go find the little bathroom area. I freaked. I thought there was somebody else in the room with me. Nope. The closet door is just one giant mirror.
Well, that's not uncommon.
I didn't expect it to be there, though, because it was in a weird spot. Normally, you walk into a hotel room, the closet door's like right there. Really, now this one was kind of tucked around the corner, and I jumped. I was like, oh.
Did we talk about how they didn't replace the carpet, and so it's sort of like stuffy, high, posh, whatever carpet with letters on it?
Yeah, the word W in like this old English font, which is as far removed as that Asian character font they had across the curtain as you could possibly get.
Right. And then every review I read was that it's like they tried to spend all the money in the lobby, ran out for the rooms, and so everything is like poorly painted and shoddy looking.
The hallways getting to the room, super cramped, super tight. What I would imagine like a low rent apartment building would be like. Just really cramped, and the doors are right next to each other. So you know each hotel room is not shaped the same. They just kind of filled the space as they could. Because they're just so Tetris in there. It just felt really odd. It was weird.
That's your takeaway. We spent as much time talking about Wyndham in Dallas.
That's a good point. Let's talk about the bash. I don't know what else is there to say, actually.
Well, yeah.
What else is there to say about the bash? What are some of the things that I've said to you that you thought were interesting or neat? Can you think of anything?
Well, that you had fun.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you talk about specifics, but you talked about how much fun Dominique had and how it was fantastic to see her, you know, like seeing a convention through new eyes. Mm-hmm. You've talked about your various run-ins with
Victoria Price.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes. And Josh and Scott and Tracey and Steve and his family and
Ben and Michaela. Shout out.
Yep. And how fun it was and how much you felt supported.
Terry.
Oh, I have a new apron.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had an apron before, actually.
I think you're right.
I know I'm right. I've never had an apron before. We had aprons when I was getting my only A+ I've ever had in home ec and all that stuff, but but no, I've never owned one as an adult.
As soon as I gave it to you, you opened it up and put it on.
Well, of course.
It's this really cool sugar skull pattern.
Yes.
Too,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Thanks
really
to Terry.
Neat. Terry was having a great time too. It was cool to see her and spend time with her and get lots of pep talks from her as well. Just everybody there, Rod, Christopher Page, Nick and Fiona.
Yeah, once you start naming names.
Yeah, I have to stop because I will forget somebody. But I met a lot of listeners of the show.
Oh, that was probably nice too, right?
That was really, really neat.
Yeah.
To meet some listeners of the show. People that I've never met before or maybe not even interacted with online via Facebook or Gmail or whatever. Just to run into people there was really cool.
It's amazing.
Just an amazing time. It really was. It's an energizing, refreshing time that I am so glad I had. I don't know what else there is to say.
I'm glad you had an amazing time.
Yeah, I don't know nothing else. So let's say this. Let's end the show a little differently than we normally do. I'm not going to cut away. Let's just end the show together right now. If you have any memories from Monster Bash or would like to write in about anything else that we've talked about here on the show, if you're going through the archives and find something new to you or you've been meaning to write in, please feel free to do so. Our email address is monsterkidradio@gmail.com. Or you can be like Todd from the Haunted Cinema. By the way, I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes to that. You can call in and leave me a voicemail. The phone number is 503-479-5657. That's 503-479-5MKR. This is all available on our website at monsterkidradio.net, where you're going to find a link to the Monster Bash website, where you can learn about the upcoming shows, as well as everything else we've got going on over here, a link to SaveMonstrous.com, and a link to where you can go vote in this year's Rally Awards to help decide the best in genre films from 1934, 44, and 54. To hear a detailed conversation about the ballot, check out last week's episode. Otherwise, go straight to tinyurl.com/rallies2018.
Hadn't everybody already voted and you had a top 100?
Oh, yeah, the top 100. This is something different.
Oh.
The top 100. Why don't we talk about that real quick, because I don't think it's going to make it into this week's episode. Steve Turek and I, we were doing the top 100 monster movies. Submit your top 20 favorites, and he took all this amazing data and created a list that was revealed over the course of 3 days. So much fun. People kept coming back to the table to see which movies came in top. It was really cool. We're going to do this every year. See if the list changes. So that will be coming. Why don't we plan to put that into next week's episode? Not going to make you wait for that. Okay? That'll be coming. Anything else?
No, I love you.
Is that to me or to the Monster Kid Radio heads?
Well, both now, because I'm not going to say not to the Monster Kid Radio heads.
I want to end by letting people know that Monster Kid Radio is a registered service mark of Monster Kid Radio LLC, and that all original content of Monster Kid Radio by Monster Kid Radio LLC is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported License. My name is Sarah Kim Cook.
I'm Brenda.
Talk to everybody next week. Ciao.